and today we have Glenn Cashdollar. Glenn Cashdollar is a good friend, a brother. He's really more like family than anything else. He came on. We had a great conversation. The biggest fear for today was maybe reining Glenn in. He tends to talk really fast, and his mind works so fast that he jumps from this subject to this subject just really quickly. Honestly, he took care of most of that himself. I barely had to rein him in, and at the beginning, he was actually even a little shy. So it starts out a little slow, but then it really jumps in, and we got a little bit more serious than we probably usually do on Gathering of Fools. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the conversation. I look forward to more like it. And without further ado, here's my boy Glenn. So you're excited to be on the podcast, huh?
Yeah, I'm actually very excited. Been thinking about it way too much. Kind of nervous coming into it a bit.
Yeah, I feel like you'll let some of that go because, I mean, really all we're doing is having a conversation. We're not live. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not like people are staring at you right now except for me. Does that make you nervous?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Just because you're so beautiful.
Yeah, I know. I have that effect. The one thing we always start out with is the top 5 movies. Think you want to jump into that?
Yeah, sure, I guess.
You want to do movies or a mixture?
We can do movies. Just, let it be known that I watch very few movies. So if we're going to discuss movies, and I just don't want to upset anybody when they're like, "Oh, those are good movies to you." Yes, yes. They are, because I've seen like 7. So,
and actually, another thing we should put out there is once Glenn gets going, he'll probably start talking really fast. I might have to rein him in because he's got a high operating speed in that brain of his.
Well, thanks. I think.
Yeah, it's definitely a thanks. It was a compliment. But yeah, we'll start with the movies, and as he said, he doesn't watch a lot, so let's just see what he comes up with here.
Well, I look at just movies that would. If I was watching TV, it would be a movie that would stop me, and I would just be like, all right, I'm putting this movie on. It's going to be a movie that I'm going to watch. And one of them would be Forrest Gump, definitely a movie that I would always catch myself stopping and watching.
Yeah, for sure. And that one actually comes up fairly often. I think that's the 3rd or 4th time. I love it. I know one person that doesn't for some whatever reason. Yeah, really? They don't like Tom Hanks either in general, I don't think.
Strange person. You better watch out for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're good friends, but I would have to agree that is really weird. How do you not like Tom Hanks? What are you going to do?
Right.
So what do you like about that movie?
Generally, it's a good feel-good story. It's just watching someone that has all the odds stacked against them, technically, if you look at it. In the way the system is, a person who's handicapped wouldn't be able to achieve essentially any of that, you would assume, and they achieve all of that, and it almost seems like by dumb luck. They just kind of happen to stumble into being the greatest and richest person ever.
Right. Well, I like about it too, like you said, they might have the deck stacked against them, but what I like is he almost accidentally found something he was great at every time, like stuff that just played to his strengths, like running for football. Ping pong. Who knows why he was great at that, but he was great at that. Things like that. And then obviously lucky with the fishing. I don't know if you can really be a great shrimp boater. Is that a thing?
I
is there a lot of practice?
They might know exactly where to go, where the spots are. Like these are the good spots.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. He kind of got lucky with that. That's what I mean. It's just kind of a little bit of dumb luck. Like, yeah, he definitely found his strengths in different areas, but a lot of it was him just kind of fortune looking out for him, and it was nice. Like, sometimes you don't have to try to anticipate something great happening. You just might stumble into it.
Right.
You just kind of live your life.
And then one thing he did in every one of those circumstances is he took advantage of it. I think sometimes people fall into stuff and maybe they don't take advantage. They automatically perceive failure and don't go forward.
Absolutely. They definitely look at the glass half empty. Like, oh, I'm here, I'm stuck. And they only look at it like every day is an unfortunate day. But like every day you are stuck there, but it's a day of your life. You might as well just make the most of what you can out of that day.
Right. And if something pops up that seems like it could be a great thing, don't make excuses to not do it. Because I really think that happens pretty often.
Agreed.
I think I did it for like 2 or 3 years before I actually started the podcast.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people will go through that. I think a lot of people get stuck in a rut and they don't realize they're in that rut because of a little bit of how they think about things. It's just sometimes you wake up each day and you're like, oh, my job's awful, my life's awful, everything's awful. But yeah, it might be. But I'm not saying compare it to other people, but the simple part is you have opportunities every day, little ones. They may not be huge ones that are going to just leap you forward and you're going to be like, I'm rich and I got everything I need and my life's completely set. But little tiny pieces each day, it's not going to happen overnight either. And you've heard all the cliches, but still.
Yeah. Well, and no matter what, you got to put the work in.
Yeah.
Like you just to assume that someone's going to fall in your lap and you're just immediately going to be rich. Like, you're still going to have to put work in pretty much no matter what it is, unless you just like happen to stumble upon millions of dollars.
Or a bag of cash somewhere. You know?
Yeah.
Just, there's a bag of $10,000.
In which case, you can't even tell people you got that because somebody wants that back.
Right. Might not want to take that back. Actually, we're just going to leave that there.
Right. One thing I'll tell you to be careful of. Sometimes it seems like you're almost trying to avoid the mic, like you're talking off to the side over here. Just try to be right in front of it.
Yeah. I guess it's just weird to have a mic right in your face.
Oh, I completely agree. So wrong one. I got to turn down this fan. Oh yeah, it takes a little bit of a conscious effort at first to make sure that you're in front of it, but you get used to it.
Yeah, I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
So what's next after Forrest Gump?
It would be a Dodgeball, to be honest.
Dodgeball? I love that movie. Vince Vaughn, Justin Long. All the people in it. How can you go wrong?
It's a very quotable movie, in my opinion. Just all the different lines that you can take from that movie. It's stupid humor, and I really like stupid humor because it's something you can laugh at, and you don't have to take it at all very serious. It's just good old-fashioned just laugh at something.
I like stupid humor done well. Like, there's definitely examples of stupid humor. Like, that's just too dumb for me. Like South Park, honestly, became too dumb for me. Dumb isn't the right word because they're actually very intelligent with what they do. But it's just too, I don't know, on the nose maybe. I just can't do it.
I understand what you're saying on that. Certain shows just kind of come off, maybe cringy isn't the word, but it just comes off like, I don't know about all that. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but like I love New Girl, and New Girl's silly as hell, and I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I guess it's the way you how you go about doing it, how you bring that.
Yeah, and I do love Dodgeball. Dodgeball's quality.
Absolutely.
Are you losing it over there?
I feel like I'm just saying absolutely nothing. Like, yeah, Dodgeball. It's a great movie. Why is it great? Because it's great and it's funny. I think it's funny.
No,
it's a funny, great movie, and I like it. So I watch it.
And it's good.
It's my movie.
Nah, there's not a lot to say about Dodgeball. What are you going to say? Like, I love the epic storyline.
Right. It sucks me in every time. It brings me to tears.
Yeah. Although, again, it is people overcoming terrible odds. Maybe there's a theme in your movie selections.
I think just the human nature. We just love having the underdog story. Just being able to overcome great challenges. This is something people love. They love all those stories.
Yeah, it's because we all feel like we're doing that in our everyday life anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle. Survival looks different in every different generation, but at the end of the day, it's surviving. So when you get a story of great success when you're trying to survive, it's something we can all root for. Yeah,
for sure. All right, what do you got next?
Wow, those two. It's kind of hard to say because I like a lot of funny movies, and I don't want to say like a bunch of just stupid comedies because people are like, that's all you like. But the other one I like too is Hot Rod. That's a great movie. Absolutely love that movie. Hot
Rods is one of the silliest ones that I feel like I should hate with how I look at movies, but I love Hot Rods. Like, they do things in that movie that I've just never seen people do. Like, there's that one scene where they're just high-fiving, like he's going back and high-fiving the two different dudes, and then he just says, and that's how it's done, but they never explain it. Right. Like, they never explain what he's doing.
You just come into the scene and you're just like, all right, so someone's going to tell me what's going on? Nope. All right. Just high-fiving?
Nope. We're just going to pretend that didn't happen.
That's how it's done. Just remember that. Yeah. No, absolutely. It has a lot of dumb humor and a lot of stupid things that go a lot of different weird ways. He's trying to fight his dad the whole time, but he looks like an idiot the entire time.
The ultimate punch.
Right. And the little things, but that's what I love about it because it's just having fun. It just looks like they're having a lot of fun, and when people are having a lot of fun, it's easy to laugh at that.
Oh yeah, and I think Andy Samberg's pretty good at that, even with his show Reno. Oh, not Reno. What is it called? Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I watched that as well.
That's hilarious. That's got one of the funniest scenes in it I think I've ever seen when they're doing the lineup. and he's making them each sing like a part of the Backstreet Boys song.
He keeps singing. He completely forgot about catching who it was.
Yeah, she goes, it's number 5. He goes, oh my God, I completely forgot about that. That's fucking great.
That's good stuff.
Everybody should look that up. All right. There's another good scene in that I like. I don't know why. It's one of my biggest quotes where he's like, I've been drinking green tea all goddamn day.
Oh, right? No, that absolutely is good.
It was to say, my hat now.
Yeah, he beats him with the trash can. Because they run into his camper. Oh, man. See, absolutely stupid. It's dumb. The guy with the tattoo where he's just like pissing on the FM radio and the TV at the same time. Like, and he tells his little story behind that. Just stupid.
Right.
Who thought of that? Who thought that would be good? Who wrote that and said, let's pass this off? Like, did you read that? Yeah.
Did you read that script? Like,
that's great.
Sounds like nonsense.
Yeah. I'm sure people are going to like that. They're going to love it.
And they were right. Yep. I know a lot of people that love that movie.
I'd imagine now, too, with movies. Like, they probably, like, got to study, like, how people are and how they act and what people enjoy. There's got to be some science behind movies nowadays and what's good.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely got to be a lot of science behind movies. Otherwise, just everybody would be making good ones. I feel like everybody is making movies now, but everybody would be making good ones. You know what I mean?
As far as like, when it comes to movies or just content in general, there's a lot of it, and there's a lot of good content. Just speaking of that, like when it comes to like Netflix shows and everything, and just TV in general, just there's a lot more good things coming out, like quality things you want to watch, like you hear about from a friend, and you're actually like, yeah, that's worth watching. I'm going to go ahead and check that out.
It's hard to keep up on.
Yeah. You're like, you get started on a new show, and you're like, oh, I love this show. And like, well, there's another new show over here. It's even better than that. You're like, what? I just started
this one. Let me be.
Right? Can't even keep up. Like, I'm like 10 shows behind people. Not even episodes. I'm shows behind.
Right. Oh, yeah. I understand that completely. All right. So before we get too sidetracked on that, because I'm sure we'll dive into that some. So you got 3 now. You got 2 more.
And I wasn't thinking about another one, so that I should have just wrote these down before we even asked. That would have been pretty smart.
No, that's all right. And don't be afraid to do all comedies. Do whatever. I mean, what you like to watch is what you like to watch.
I can't think of the name. Is it like A Few Good Men? I believe it is.
With Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
That's one if it's on the TV for sure. I just have to watch it. It just sucks you in. It's just so good. It's a great story. That's a great story right there. I really like it. Like, even when I watch it now, because when you watch older movies now, I think you look back at them, you go, I can see how this is a little cheesy. Like these parts, like kind of how they did them a certain way and to make an effect.
Right.
And you can catch that now a lot easier than you could before. But that movie still, to me, it gets me every time. I really get sucked into the story. I watch it. I love it as if I don't know what's going to happen every single time. But I'm just like, yes, they got him. Oh.
And it's got fucking great actors. I mean, you got Tom Cruise, you got Jack, you got Demi Moore, you got Kevin Pollak, you got Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, it's definitely a star-studded cast, and it's good too because they kind of
Kiefer Sutherland's in that too.
Yeah, and they showed 2 sides of kind of the argument at the same time. I know they support one side most of the time, but they kind of talk about like what is it like to be a Marine and how important it is to like you can't be second tier when you're trying to defend someone and someone can shoot you at any moment, and you got to understand that's super important in the military to be your best, because if you're not your best, how can the person next to you trust you to defend them when they're like, well, let's just say reloading or something, whatever happens in combat. I'm obviously not in combat, so I have no idea what that's like, but
right.
The whole point is like you gotta be A1, 100% good,
completely reliable, everything. And they do a good job of showing both, because the best part of the movie is Jack's speech, the bad guy. You know what I mean? You can't handle the truth.
Right.
That's one of the best speeches in any movie. And even though he was a bastard for what he did, he's the antagonist or whatever, you do relate to it a little bit. You're like, man, yeah, you do got to trust the guy next to you.
Right.
But you still, can't accidentally kill people. That's not okay.
Absolutely. Even Demi Moore makes like a point to say like they'll stand on the wall when no one else will. Basically, while you sleep, even she like kind of defends him a little bit in that point. Like, is this case really worth it? We're going to go ahead and go basically say the military is wrong for doing this when they sit there every day and they're like backs against the wall, essentially. The enemy's right there and they could hurt them at any given moment, and they're protecting your freedom. Do you really want to just go ahead and make this little boo-boo here be that big of a deal? But then it's the argument, what about one person's valued life? Is it one person versus this? It's just a great, like I said, it's a great story. It just makes you think about all the different aspects that go into military affair, because you have to ask yourself, just in the military in general, just as a regular person, there are deaths that are accidental that happen. There are for sure deaths that are not intended to happen to people that are not in combat defending freedom. It was just an accident.
Right.
And when you're around things that are extremely dangerous because their intent is to destroy life, there's a chance that it can backfire on you and things can go wrong. And then also, if people are not in like a good mental state, you got all kinds of factors that go into accidents. Like
high pressure situations are dangerous regardless of the job. Like even working in a mill or whatever.
Yes.
Then you added people with guns, and it's
Right.
it's dangerous.
I mean, no matter how much you can condition a person to be ready for the military, I don't think there's any way you can make anybody ready to be shot at and perform and execute something just to a
perfection
precision. Yeah,
all the time. Yeah.
That person at the end of the day, like, they got to be so shot, like their candles got to be burned out. Like, your anxiety probably just, you don't have any left to have anxiety. I couldn't imagine having any anxiety left after that, because you've used it all up.
Or you just live in a constant state of anxiety, so you're used to it. So it doesn't raise your heart rate or do any of the things that it does to a normal person.
Maybe, absolutely. It's just that's the other thing. It's just so crazy to think about military. It gives you exactly all these different thoughts. It's a great movie.
Yeah, it's an excellent movie. All right, so now we're down to your number one.
Okay.
He's deep in thought. The best part is he knew this was coming.
Right. Because it's hard to give a number one. Like, I believe AJ said before when he was on that podcast, like, you could ask me tomorrow and I would probably be like, well, actually, I like this movie more.
Oh, yeah.
So absolutely.
For sure.
I just like movies that also give you thought. So if we're going to go with another movie on thought, and I'm kind of on that, it would be Contact, which is another good movie.
Man, the old one with Matthew McConaughey and Jodie Foster?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Oh, the reason it's interesting, because it's kind of the question of aliens, but also the question of God. It throws that up in the air and puts science and religion kind of up in this question of, like, what is real? And it doesn't really per se answer the question if God or aliens are real. It leaves it open, and it's kind of down to belief. It kind of it leaves you there where, what do you believe? There's evidence everywhere around you. It's just, what do you believe? And I just really like that, because, she goes on that thing. She's gone for 18 hours, has like an out-of-body experience. You might well say she goes to like a beach planet with like planets. It looks fucking dope, okay?
Right, yeah.
She goes there, sees her dad. He's dead. And then they're like, well, you went nowhere. You kind of just fell straight through. We wasted all of our time and millions of dollars and made this stupid contraption. And you're trying to say you did what? Nothing.
Sounds like she took a DMT trip.
Right, yeah. Like, basically what they're thinking, like, you were just on drugs. You probably were just traumatic. You had a dream. You were traumatic because of the movie.
I'm wondering if we're talking about the same movie. You're talking about the one with Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey?
Well,
older?
Where like they have that mechanism that like spins, that has all those like it's all those halos that kind of spin together, and she drops to the middle. Well, she basically teleports somewhere else.
Let me take a quick look here, make sure we're on the same page.
I think it's based off of a book by Carl Sagan, but I don't know.
This one?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
You know what? I must not remember this at all. I have to rewatch this a lot, because you're telling me stuff like that,
I just remember
that I
vividly.
do not remember.
It's just it's a really good movie. It makes you think.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it just makes you think, because at the end, Matthew McConaughey says, like, I believe you. Like, they don't really get to the end of anything. Like, he's just basically saying, I believe what you're telling is truth. And she's at court trying, basically being tried for what she believes happens. I don't remember all the minor details, so I can't get you too much into that, but like I said, it's a great movie.
We don't need to go quite into it, but I definitely want to check this out, and I think everybody else should. And I love movies that make you think. I mean, that's massive to me, especially in today's world where so much has to do with the big blockbusters just being like visually stunning more than anything else. It's nice to find movies that really have a lot of thought put into them and make you think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So we got your movies out. Yeah, you want some more? Yeah, go ahead, absolutely. Man. Just grab the bottle, brother. The one thing we started to get into there, and I feel like me and you have had this conversation multiple times, but I'm going to go ahead and dive into it a little bit. Like thoughts on God and science. I think there has to be a combination of both.
Absolutely. Here's my thoughts on God and science in a very simplified form, if we're just going to go ahead and put it in like a sentence or two. I think science is telling the same story that religion is telling, just from two different perspectives. Because when people say the Earth's millions of years old, and then they say the Big Bang Theory, or like Earth, everything, the universe came from a big explosion.
Right.
It could be telling the same exact story, like millions of years, Big Bang. The Bible didn't say, well, this happened exactly on this date at this time with this many seconds and this many hours. It was not really broken down like that. So if we're talking religion in the sense of like the Christian,
the Christian, even though all their stories, every religion is pretty similar.
All I'm saying is like they're telling the same story. It's kind of like in Marvel when he says like magic is just science you don't understand, essentially.
Right. And you know what? When you phrase it like that, I completely agree with you, because now I'm thinking, like you say, the Big Bang Theory. Well, if you even go to the Christian thing, it's like at first God created the earth. So that could be like the bang, you know what I mean? Right. And then things evolved on that planet, basically. He says, like, and then we created animals and we created humans. And he did it in 7 days.
Right? 7 days. 7 days or 7 billion trillion, how many years it is,
Right.
Who's to say his years are the same as your year? We've had different calendars throughout history, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Different ways to tell time. So who's to say? I think science and religion are kind of like butting heads when they really shouldn't. They really should be kind of working in tandem if you think about it. If religion is, I think religion has some problems with it, because people.
Oh yeah.
If you look at religion, and I don't think it should ever be a violent thing. So anytime religion has like violent outcomes, no matter what,
the Crusades or radical Muslims, or
whatever you want to say, anyone who sees religion as an excuse to put someone down or be mean towards someone, I guess is the simplest word I can put for it. That's just not, I don't know if that's a religion. That's just you making an excuse you can be an asshole.
Right. Well, and especially in the Christian sense, because in the Christian sense, you're really supposed to not judge other people.
Absolutely.
You're supposed to try to be inherently good, and you trying to force people into your way of thinking, I guarantee you're not being inherently good.
Yes, absolutely. And on religion, if we're going to go this way and get a little spiritual, your relationship with God would be an individual thing. You can't judge other people. Like, I mean, just read stories of the Bible. Like, people saw a burning bush. No one's going to believe Moses when he comes back. Yeah, I saw a bush burning. Okay, to talk to me. Okay, whatever you were smoking, good for you, bud. We got things to do. We got chores. No one's going to believe that story. Like, so everyone's.
It's funny you said that too, because there's a thought out there now that the bush might have actually been on fire, and part of the reason he thinks like it was talking to him and stuff is I think it might have been a plant that was very high in DMT or something to that effect.
Oh, that's possible.
And so he basically had a trip.
I do like when science does that, but I do think that like even when you have a trip, you could even say like when you dream, it's just chemicals and stuff happening in your brain. But I do believe people can have experiences. I think that's very much possible, because there's still things they're finding out in science, like dark matter and black matter, whatever those I'm not even sure if I'm terming things properly, but things they're finding in science every day that are new. They're like, oh, we found something different. We found out gravity might not be real. It's something else,
right?
Things like that.
Yeah, there's constant new waves of information coming. But when it comes to religion and them like saying like they don't believe in the Big Bang Theory, one, like you said, they're so relatable if you really sit down and think about it. But also, like to me, science doesn't take it far enough to even say the Big Bang. You know what I mean? Because, okay, you're saying like these molecules or whatever, atoms crashed together and that created all this. Okay, but then where did those come from?
Yeah, and it's even hard that when I was a kid, this is probably one of the reasons why I don't go to church anymore. I asked my pastor, him like, what was before God? Like, what was before that? And no one can really answer that question. I really asked them a brain stumper. Right. Like, how are you supposed to convince a kid to understand something that's you can't understand? You basically you tell them go read the Bible. It's essentially what they did. Like, you need to go read Scripture. Like, all right, yeah, that's going to answer my question. Like, and that's the problem I think a lot of people have today with religion is it's not answering complicated questions that you're going to have, because for someone to fully believe in something that like that, to the end of your life, to follow it in such a intense degree, they need more, because we found out through science that we can prove things. We can prove, like, we can carbon date things and prove age of things. We can do amazing things. We can travel to the moon, and we can send robots to other planets and send pictures back and videos and stuff. Like, we can do amazing stuff. So we need more evidence.
So basically what you're talking about is science is actually giving you rock solid answers, while religion is all faith based. I mean, you're not going to get rock solid answers out of that. You're just going to have your faith, and your faith is going to put you in a comfortable spot.
That's where the religion is just an experience between the individual and their God, because it's just something for you as an individual, because it's a very difficult thing to imagine yourself. I don't know. kind of lost for words a little bit on it.
Well, I can say that I think I do have a faith in some sort of higher being. I don't know if I follow Christianity to a T. I do believe in being inherently good. I do believe that there's some sort of higher power. Just because I can't see where science is ever going to fully explain existence. You know what I mean?
I would agree with that. Especially when they have that like science belief where there's different tiers of intelligence, so like where there's people that can actually travel between different planes of existence. They're so intellectually advanced. They have ships that travel beyond galaxies, solar systems. They can travel the entire universe. They can transport between universes.
Right.
I mean, there's a chance that there's a higher being. For me, I was raised in religion, so I'm like you. I just believe there's a higher power. Maybe it's because my whole entire life I went to Sunday school and I went to church and I also went to Bible study and I just went to church a lot.
Yes, I did initially up through probably middle school, and then I pretty much stopped going because there's problems I have with religion, like the idea that even if somebody is inherently good, they've been good their whole life, but they don't, accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, that, well, man, you're going to purgatory or hell. No way to heaven for you.
I think I think we have, as a people, oversimplify a lot of things to convince people of things, because there's another podcast I listened to by NPR, and it does a thing about religion and how religion is evolved. So just kind of to break that down real quick. When tribes were really tiny, when the earth first started, let's just say there's no religion at this point, it was easy to keep tabs on everyone. All right, we got like 10 people in our tribe. So if John ain't doing shit, we're going to know you're not doing shit because we all know John, and we see you, John, and we see you not doing shit. You were sleeping when everybody else was working in the field.
Right, get the fuck up.
Right, so there's like accountability. You always know you're being watched because the tribe is small. So as the tribe grows in size and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, there's no way to police everyone 100%. So it's easy to create, a thing that polices you automatically. It's an omnipresent being that now watches you everywhere you go. Not only that, now it creates a system of bartering. Now I have a contractual obligation now to anyone who's like the same religion as me. I can do barter goods with you because I can trust.
Right. I can trust that you're going to reciprocate.
Right, because you're of the same religion as me. And then that's where fasting and stuff comes in. Then you have to well, how do I know that you're actually of that religion? Well, I didn't eat for 7 days because I was praying, so I have proof. Or like I sacrificed my best lambs and I gave away my best fruits and vegetables every 7 days. Something like that.
You saw me at church, Bob.
Yeah, exactly. So like basically that it was a system that would keep people in line. But now that we have governments, and that's why you see religion dying off in a sense. Well, at least in America. I don't have statistics, so I'm not going to try to say I know what it's like in the world. But personally, what I can see, everybody that grew up in church, that I know grew up in church, doesn't go to church anymore.
Right.
And we have a system that protects us from that. We don't need that. We got the government that basically says, I have a contract that says you have to pay for this house that you just bought from me.
Right. Yeah.
Or the police will come get you, or someone will get you. I don't know. The IRS.
Right. Or you're going to lose the house.
Yeah, something's going to happen.
There's just when money gets involved, that money keeps you in check on its own, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I lost my thought. You were talking about going to church. I find a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people that used to go to church all the time, they no longer go to church. But I've noticed that some people, as they get older, they end up going back.
I have some thoughts on that. This is going to be really cynical. I'm going to quote, I think, Modest Mouse in a way with this. They just need something to sleep with. They need a pillow so they can sleep at night, essentially. They need a crutch. You need something to help you ease your way into death, because the problem with death is throughout human history, no one knows a damn thing about it. There's no way for someone, no one's really died and be able to tell that story back to people. No one's come back and be like, guys, I got it. This is what religion's correct. This is what's heaven's like. This is what's hell like. I got it all. Let me break it down.
Right.
Because if that happened, I think we probably would have a lot less problems, because people would be rest assured, like, okay, we know the answer. We know exactly what death's like.
Right. But I completely agree with you that is what that is. As they get older and they start thinking about death more and the uncertainty of death, they like the idea of having it planned out for them.
I mean, as humans, we like control. I mean, me personally, it's one of the reasons that I'm not a big fan of drinking in excess, because I lose control.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of control. I like to control everything, and that's not a good thing. Let me just say, it's not the best.
It has some good aspects to it, though.
But I think that's a human flaw that we all have, is we like control, and so we don't have control of things. We kind of create an artificial idea of control. Like religion could be that, and that's the biggest thing. I struggle with religion personally, because yes, I grew up with religion. I could understand that it's a believable thing, but at the same time, like, I don't have some magical thing talking to me anytime, and I'm not trying to knock anyone. So like, it's hard for me to believe in that, because then I also believe in, like, we fabricate things to help make things better for ourselves. Like, even when you watch a show like Brain Games, and they talk about how your brain tricks you into believing certain things, like even with depth perception, the way your brain analyzes information, the way it comes in through your eyes, is it's making up for information that's not there.
Yeah.
And it sometimes makes you seem like you're smarter. Like, what's that psychology effect where Dunning-Kruger effect, wherever it is, where
I don't know about that.
Where when you get a certain skill, you have a skill, whatever it is. And when you're so good at it, you think you're really, really good at it. It's when you start getting actually good at it, you realize you suck at it until you become like really good at it. And then you kind of believe you're good at it.
I'm sure I'm
something like
misspelling it completely.
Yeah, that's what the Dunning-Kruger effect. Sorry, I definitely said it incorrectly.
Dunning-Kruger. Okay, so let's see. The field of psychology, the Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias in which people assess their cognitive ability as greater than it is. It is related to the cognitive bias of illusionary superiority and comes from the inability of people to recognize their lack of ability. Without the self-awareness of metacognition, people cannot objectively evaluate their competence or incompetence.
Essentially, it's the saying, the fool thinks he's wise and the wise thinks he's a fool. It's that. It's pretty much what that is.
Basically, knowing that you can always learn something.
Absolutely. And yeah. I do think, I don't know, how do we even get on this conversation? But I just want to say this. I do think that's something that happens when you get older, too, a little bit, is you kind of get stuck in your ways. You don't think you can learn anything new.
Well, I think it's a big problem as you get older. It's not even that you don't think you can learn anything new. It's that you create an echo chamber for yourself so that you constantly get confirmation of what you believe instead of getting all the information from every side. You know what I mean? I think that's what people should be doing. Like, people talk about people doing it with Twitter all the time. Like, you only follow people that agree with what you agree with.
Whatever the cognitive bias or whatever. Yeah, like whatever they said right there. I see what you're saying.
I think that's what happens a lot. It's not that you necessarily think you know everything, but you've surrounded yourself with only like-minded people, which I think is a very good thing about our group of friends. I don't think we all think exactly alike.
I think most people have friends that they disagree with, because a lot of people do get friends sometimes for selfish reasons, like how it benefits them. Because think about it, when you started any friendship with anyone, even when you're younger, there was always a self-interest. There was always a self-benefit to it. And I think over time you realize, like, oh, I actually do like this person. And so they're actually pretty cool. I didn't realize that. And that's when you become friends, and because you can have those arguments with friends, like, I don't fucking believe a goddamn word you're saying, man. You can shut the fuck up.
Right.
Get the fuck out of my house right now. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And I think that sometimes the arguments and the differences actually make you stronger friends. I think that strengthens a friendship.
Absolutely. Unless you're me and you're just absolutely stubborn and you just can't listen to anything anyone ever says. No, you're correct. Absolutely. You need to think outside the box. And even if you disagree in that moment, I think, especially with our group of friends, give it time and the other person will try to see your point of view no matter what. Because the one thing that is great about, I think, why we are friends, and I like being friends with you guys, is because of we're all willing to try to see things in another, put our foot in someone else's shoe again, essentially.
Right.
Take that walk and try to see it from another perspective, because we've all come from different walks of life. We all seen what it's like to not have it that great, or just be able to perceive what it's like not to have it that great.
Right. And you should always be willing to listen to the other side of the argument, because you might learn something that you didn't know.
Ooh. Speaking of which, like, I just had some really good advice given to me by someone I just don't like, and it was just so crazy, because when they said it, I was like, I didn't need to hear that, but I don't like you at all, but I really needed to hear that. Like, thank you. I'm weirdly, I'm happy you said that, but I don't like you as a person at all still. That did not change a thing about you. But
right. But so what was the advice?
Well, the advice was, like, all he said was, it's not about you. And that's simple, but it was really good for me, because a lot of times it just stems a lot about me. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'm a selfish person, but in conversation, I kind of always bring it back to me. I bring everything back to me. I like to bring all kinds of things back to me.
Yeah.
And even with my own personal struggles, I thought about it in the sense of, like, I was, if I look at it from a bigger picture, it's for the whole humanity as a whole. It's always for the whole. I'm part of just a big picture. I'm
Right.
just a little piece. And don't look at it as like you're just a little piece in this tiny universe and you mean nothing. No, I'm a little piece. I'm a little cog that's important. Like every little blood cell in your body has it's a very important purpose. You
Right.
know, your heart is an important purpose, and your brain and your lungs and everything. It's just the same thing. So I'm just an integral cog. So when I heard that, I was just like, I need to take a step back. I need to start realizing, listen to people more.
Yeah, instead of just constantly doing the talking.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then I'm here at this podcast talking about it. Listen to me.
Well, we definitely had you come on because you are a good talker. You got that down.
For sure. Absolutely. Love to talk way too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's well, I don't even remember what I was saying. You caught me off guard a little bit with that.
You were just saying how you're a small but important cog.
Oh, yeah. Everything you do matters in a little way. It's the same going with voting. When
It's like butterfly effect. You affect everything around you.
People don't think voting matters. Well, if you don't think voting matters, I also say you create your own destiny. So like if you don't think your vote matters, then why don't you just run for office? You can run for your local office, and you don't need $1 billion. You don't have to be Bloomberg or whatever his name is and buy the presidency.
Yeah.
Because I think people also don't realize, like, if you want change locally to happen, like when it comes to schools and education and the potholes, you got to go to your council. Like, you got to go to your local city, your local whatever, if you're in a township or whatever the case may be, to your county seat.
Go to council meetings and let your voice be heard.
Like people, you see it on Parks and Recs, they do it, but that's a real thing.
Right.
And that's how you can get more involved. If you don't think your votes, then speak. And if you don't think you think your word needs to be heard by more people, then run for office. Like, I think that's a lot of young people don't realize, like, I want you to do that. People want you to do that. People want you to run for office. Like, we don't need a bunch of, no offense to people who are in office, but there's a lot of old people with old thoughts that don't think of the new age and the new change. You have the mindset for that. You have the ability to make that change. So make it. Like, go run for office. People will vote for you. And not only that, like, you know what people want. They want transparency. They want honesty. They want corporate. I need someone for president that's single and has 2 kids and lives, a middle-class life. That's the president I need, because that's someone who's real and honest and knows what it's like and can actually have. But the problem is, I don't even want to get political in this sense, but they'd be taken advantage of so quickly by everyone. Yeah. Like, because the most dangerous thing is people who don't have to be elected that are in politics, that just win a seat by employment, and they're there forever because they don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. They're just going to, I want what I want, and I've been here long enough, so I don't really care what you want. I know how to manipulate you in the way that I can get.
I know how to manipulate the system. Period.
It's unfair. The problem is still, to the end of the day, it's who you know, how much money you have, and how manipulative are you. And those are the 3 main characteristics that makes a politician as good as they are.
Well, like you said about voting, I think everybody should vote. And I think people should worry. I feel like a lot of people who do vote, they pretty much go in, vote for the president, walk out. They don't really care about all the other things that are on the ballot in front of them, all the other people that are on the ballot in front of them for different positions.
And even with that, I think a lot of people also expect the media to bring all the news and information and information
not do their own research.
You have to, because you need to dig up dirt. I'm not saying like find out a tweet they did in 2009. You need to find out what actual things they did. Like, I mean,
right. What are policies that they've actually had their whole life?
Right. Like,
instead of what they're saying right now.
Exactly. What policies have they supported? What have they voted on? What have they not voted on? What have they voted against?
Yeah.
All different things. Who do they support? And what are those politicians that they support? What do they believe in? And then what do these lobbyists that they support follow?
Right.
Whose pockets in their pocket?
Right.
There's a lot to it, and I think people don't like it too because it is complicated, and it scares them because it's overwhelming. It's like learning a new language at an older age, especially like me for being 30. Like, that's a lot.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot. Yeah. You already know how to speak one language. Well, I think I do. But voting is
It's definitely important, but what I wanted to touch at with what I was saying was that you have to really pay attention to the smaller scale votes too, the stuff right in your immediate area, your state, your county, everything. Because honestly, if you do want to promote change, it's going to be a long process, and a lot of it's going to start with who you elect in those smaller elections.
Absolutely.
Because eventually those people, if they become career politicians, those are going to be who come up and eventually, get to the top of the ladder.
Absolutely. And not only that, we need more than like just, I'm just tired of a two-party system, Republican, Democrat. It's just it's either this or that. We need like 7 different parties
There's
that are
too
just
many
an influential.
people.
Well, we need more parties and more diversity. It's just like the simple system with buying products. Like when you have more diversity in a product, you create greater competition. And I don't want the shitty competition we have now where like they're just kind of shit talking on each other. Not really.
Right. That's really what it is. The debates have become a circus.
Yeah, but again, I don't want to go too far that way. But yes, I think you need more diversity. You need more politicians that run on different parties because there's more mindsets than one or the other. If we're always stuck in the mindset liberal or conservative and we always want to box people up, we're never going to move forward. I mean, we need to be divided in the sense that we have different thoughts. There are different people. There's royal people. There's inner city people. There's the poor. There's the rich. There's the middle class. There's all kinds of even more classes complicated than that.
Right.
There's the handicap. There's the elderly. There's all these groups and tons of groups that are being treated poorly at different levels, and there's no one to speak for them. Like the handicap, constantly being treated poorly. They get paid less than 50 cents, some of them, an hour, and no one speaks for them because the handicap can't technically speak for themselves. It's kind of that they're in a conundrum. And then there's the elderly. They're abused, and it's really hard for them to speak for themselves. And there's another group there's all these groups that don't have representation.
Right.
So we need a lot more diverse politicians, and we don't need career politicians. We need a lot more switching up constantly because there needs to be change because there's always change.
And wasn't there straight from our own revolution, no taxation without representation, right? And there's all these different groups that don't have representation.
They represent certain things that I don't think they're actually good. People are representing what pays them, what makes them money, what furthers their. I got 9 condos in Kookaroo. Like, okay, good for you. But like,
is Kookaroo a real place?
I don't know. I just saw it in a movie and I love that line. So
I love that name, Kookaroo.
It was, I think, Get Him to the Greek. If
I'm
correct.
Yeah.
He's like, P. Diddy's like, I got 9 condos in Kookaroo. So it's like, I think you have 10 condos in Kookaroo. And it's making a funny joke, but it's the same joke. It's like, what is the necessity of having all that? I get it. Like, when you're rich, you're trying to put money into assets that are tangible that you have. Like I'm assuming that's what they're doing. I don't know. I'm not rich. I have no money, so I couldn't understand what that's like. So anyways, but it just seems like such a waste of products, such a waste of everything. Like, and I hate it when people are like, you need to go ahead and use different bags when you go grocery shopping. How about just Walmart stop producing plastic bags? Is it my fault that everything's single plastic use? Like, it ain't my fault. Like, y'all are making these giant corporations that have tons of money and resources and assets and the ability. Like, you make so much money now. Money doesn't matter when you're making business changes. It's about favors now. It's about shaking hands and rubbing elbows. Yeah. You have that much money, but you can't, for the life of you, make a change to your production because you would have to sacrifice $1 million here and $1 million there. Right. That is the biggest insult to people ever. That's an insult to the American people, and I just sometimes feel like people fall for that because they're just like, yeah, you should go ahead and use paper bags instead or use like your cloth bags. I'm like, okay, yeah, but what about the plastic bottle? What about the plastic wrap? What about the saran wrap? What about the plastic on the plastic on the plastic on the plastic that you use once? When you go buy your t-shirt and it's got plastic on it.
Right. And you're saying why not hold the companies accountable instead of the individual? Like, hey, the companies, if you stop giving us these bags, we'll stop fucking using them.
Yeah, like we're kind of consumers here and we kind of, we're not good at surviving without you. Let's just be honest. On a real, like, if you go away, we go away. So like, if you just made everything more sustainable, we'll be more sustainable by default. Right. Like, so if you sell everything that's better for us, we'll automatically buy it because we're like, well, we can't buy anything else. We're not going to go build a factory in our backyard and make it ourselves. So
right. And most of us don't have the money to even try to do something like that.
Absolutely. So it's a simple switch of industry needs to make that change. And I hate the electric car because people always like the electric car, this and that, but it's still running a fossil fuel. When you get electric completely renewable, then the electric car is amazing.
Right. Because electricity right now comes from coal and everything else.
I mean, don't get me wrong. My dad worked in a power plant that completely thrived, and he retired at a place that thrived.
Right. It was good for him.
Yeah, and it thrived on that. So don't get me wrong. My entire livelihood was brought up on coal. But looking at the world now and where we're at, and you saw Australia, and you're just going, oh, man, even me at a young age, I thought, climate change is real, but then you're like, no, it's real. It's so real. It's beyond realer than you thought it was real. At least for me, it was kind of like that was a slap in the face, saying like change needs to happen. It needs to happen immediately right now. So it's like the electric car, I guess, what I was getting at. I don't know exactly where I was going, but we gotta switch to renewable resources.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you took a
I
turn there.
Turned somewhere weird.
But going back to the politic part real quick, because I saw somebody put forth an idea, and it might have been Joe Rogan, maybe been somebody else on his podcast, but the idea that even just having a single president now is, with the population the size it is, that it's just an absurd way to do things.
No, absolutely.
That really we should try to have a group of people, and that they should be at the head.
Well, that's kind of what the Senate is supposed to be, and the House of Representatives.
But I think that's too many people, and I think you go to the higher level, and then you have the decision makers of 20 people.
I get what you're saying with the president, because the president has a lot of power in one individual.
Right.
I think there's nothing wrong with the Senate or the representatives. I think we keep electing the same people, and they got basically brainwashed into power. And I think there's a lot going on. Like, I think the government's on fire right now. They're making it look like they're not, but they're burning right now in a sense of like, it's chaos. I mean,
nothing can even really get done.
Well, not only that, like I'm not an expert on anything, but like they were able to sign the Patriot Act into a bipartisan movement, like from the Joe Rogan podcast with Edward Snowden, when they talked about like Nancy Pelosi and George W. Bush both having access to something that's super top secret and working together, like two people who really don't like each other. Like,
right.
It just shows that they can work together, and they're always going to work together. Like, there's definitely collusion among the rich, and it's not just American politicians. Anyone who has money across the world, they're in control. I mean, if you want to say there's Illuminati, there's Illuminati. It's called the rich, and they sit there and they laugh at you because they're like, we literally tell you what we're going to do, and then we do it, and you go, oh God.
Right, and it's really not a secret club or anything.
No.
It's just these wealthy people.
It's like lizard people, man. You're giving lizard people a bad name. They're fine. It's not them. It's definitely the rich. Okay, but those are people like, for real, dude.
You're giving lizard people a bad name.
For real. Poor lizard people.
It's hilarious.
It's a tragedy. I think. But a lot of people, and I think a lot of reason why a lot of people believe stuff, and it's why I believe a lot of things, is one, when you grow up, you're easily swayed by things. Like, I was definitely a gung-ho American, like, America's the fucking best, don't fuck with us, we'll fuck you up right now. Ooh.
America.
Oh, for sure. We got guns everywhere. But, like, as you got older, you realize, like, yes, we do, and we just fucking kill things for no fucking reason unless it has interest in money. But then you look at war, and you start studying history, and you go, oh, that's kind of the history of war. It was to gain assets, whether it was land or anything. And back in the day, it kind of seemed justified, but then, I don't know, because of Nazis and what the Nazis did, which is a terrible thing, there was an easy way to define a line of good and bad, but I don't think there's been very many wars prior or before where you could say there's been a good or bad.
There's this like fine line, like definitely good or bad.
Yeah,
like the
absolutely.
Nazis, it was really easy.
It was very easy.
This is for sure bad.
Nobody should be doing stuff like that. We all can agree that was absolutely terrible.
No bueno. But you're right. The rest of the conflicts, it doesn't seem to be a clear and concise line.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, who really is bad? So like when you look at American history, you start looking at yourself and going like, Are we the fucking bad guys? Are we the bad guys? Shit! No.
Did we fuck this up?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it was the worst like revelation you could ever have. Is like, America's not as good as I thought it was.
Yeah.
I'm not very happy about this.
I still think America has a lot of good. Obviously, I don't want to say I'm anti-American by any means. Yeah,
I didn't mean it like that. I just mean.
But there are situations where we're not the good guy.
Yeah, and it was a good reflection because you have to, like you said, not have a bias. You need to be able to look at even your candidate and see flaws in them as well as pros and cons. You need to be able to see both sides and just evaluate, do their cons outweigh the pros? Do the pros outweigh the cons?
Right. Well, either way. Yeah.
Well, what you're looking for. You want to see what are those cons? Are those cons like bad cons that even though there's only a few of them, are they bad enough that they just weigh out no matter how many pros you have? Like, so you have to look at that. And so like when you start looking at America like that, it's a good way to look at things, but it kind of just ruins, I think, a lot of people's perception of everything's great. So I think it's really easy for people to just go back to, everything's great, and let's just turn our back because my life's easy. And so no one really wants to ask that question is,
right,
are we really that great? Because no one wants to ask that question because they might find out
that we're not.
They're not. And then they might find out, like, they're not that great either. And I don't mean to say, like, people aren't great. I mean to say, like, what could you be doing better? Like, what more could you be doing? Like, volunteering, putting time and effort into things. Again, like running for office yourself.
Right.
And
which should be the constant thought, whether it's an individual or on a state or country basis. Like, what could we keep doing to get better?
Right.
Because like, you should always trying to get better. Otherwise, what are you doing?
Right. And when people always say, like, oh, I don't like taxes, like, I do not like taxes either. And you know how you can fix taxes? Volunteering. Volunteering time and money. Those two things help. Like
But something on such a grand scale, like how big the United States, how big countries are, you
agree with
have
that.
to have taxes.
True,
There's
but-
no way around it. There's no amount of volunteering that is going to get all these roads done.
But you can minimize things. So let me put it in this way: like, you have a neighborhood of people, in
a tribe, if you will.
Yes, exactly. Now, this is a neighborhood where they actually get to know the neighbors, and all the neighbors somewhat get along. You're not going to get along with everyone, and I get that, but you tolerate each other. You're kind enough in your heart,
Right.
where you'll be respectful of your neighbors. So let's say one of your neighbors falls on hard times. As a community, you come together and you help that neighbor out.
You hope the community comes together. And
Well, that's
helps,
my point. If that happens, that neighbor has to rely less on government subsidies to survive, because the community came together and provided help for them to get them back on their feet and get them going again. And I know that sounds like
people took care of each other when it was on a much smaller scale.
Right. And I know that's a utopian idea. It's really hard for them to do it, especially in today's age where you're not sure if your neighbor's going to rape you or something. And I know that's saying a very exaggerated term, but it's not at the same time. You hear these crazy stories of all kinds of things happening. I mean, you hear stories of people that are said to supposed to protect you, shooting innocent people. Like, you can't really trust anybody anymore. The internet, everybody's trying to steal your identity no matter where you go.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like anywhere you turn, bad news is around the corner waiting to get you.
Yeah. But what sucks is that should I think make people feel more of that sense of community in their immediate community. But now today, like, half the time you don't even know your neighbors.
I think people want it. I think people absolutely want that. They're just scared. I think we're all scared, because I know I am. Like, you're kind of scared to talk to your neighbor because your neighbor knocks your door. Like, what? Who's at my door? Why would someone knock at my door? Don't knock at my door.
Right. But I don't think it used to be like that. Like when I was growing up and like when me and my family lived in St. Louis, like we hung out and talked to all the neighbors all the time. We had block parties where the whole neighborhood got together at one person's house or in the cul-de-sac, and everybody got together and had a good time. And when was the last time you saw anything like that?
I mean, I think it still happens. We're not in neighborhoods like that. Like, I do think there are neighborhoods, like, because I grew up in a neighborhood where there was lots of people who were the same age as my parents and had kids my age. So there's a lot of age. Like, I remember when I would, I'm going to mispronounce this and sound very, very silly. Relivio. When I would say that word, I swear, like 100 kids would show up.
Yeah,
our neighborhood would fill with kids, and we play. And so I think it existed, and it might still exist in neighborhoods where there's parents that have kids the same age, and we're just not seeing it because I don't know if you have kids, but I don't have kids.
I don't have kids.
Yeah, so,
I think you know I don't have kids.
Well, I don't know if you got someone on the side you see don't know about.
If I have them, they're in foreign countries, and I don't know about it.
Okay.
See, you say that, but then, I mean, obviously, I drive through neighborhoods all the time. Hell, for a while, when I was managing the pizza shop, there's times where I had to deliver pizza. So I was in all kinds of neighborhoods. And I actually rarely even saw kids outside playing.
Well, to their defense, if I'm trying to defend them, I guess all I can say is they have a lot more to do than we did when we were kids.
Right. But if you were a kid, don't you still think you would want to have I mean, I had a video game system.
I did too.
But I was always outside.
Yeah, I loved outside, but it's because, I don't know.
But I also didn't have the internet wasn't as prominent as it is today.
You mean things weren't as strong. Like, we had electronics, but they weren't as good as they are now and as portable. Like the Nintendo Switch, like, you basically got a console you can carry around. Think about that. The Nintendo Switch is playing games you can play on a PS4 or an Xbox or a PC, like Skyrim. And they have that available to them, and phones are really powerful, and phone games are really popular. Like, a big market for gaming is mobile gaming.
I'll tell you, that new Call of Duty on the phone is awesome. I love playing it.
I like PUBG Mobile because I'm actually good at it compared to PUBG on the PC. So way better at that version.
I might have to check that out.
It's way easier to shoot. The recoil is much easier.
I'm just grabbing an ice block. You want one as well?
Yes.
But yeah, I completely agree with you on the fact that they do have better stuff, better stuff electronic-wise, and better, more things to do. There's just so many more formats. Like, even for watching stuff, all the streaming services, and like YouTube, stuff like that. There's just so much more content out there to keep you occupied inside your house.
Absolutely. But I don't think there's a lack of exercise, because there's a huge movement. I mean, you go on Twitter and you'll see people streaming workouts and showing people how to work out. And that's a streamer. They're live showing workouts. Pour me one as well, please.
Yeah. But I always think about I always think about, like, even though they're streaming that and watching that, are they actually doing the workout, or are they just, like, watching it?
I don't think people, there was another one on, I love NPR podcasts, I'm going to be honest. So I was listening to an NPR podcast, and they talked about, like, a lot of people, like, kind of just, instead of actually doing the act, let YouTube watch it and just watch the act, and that's their fulfillment of doing it. So there is kind of a study of that,
But
which
that's
is
not
interesting.
okay. That's not you doing it.
Oh, I would agree, but
Especially when it comes to exercise. You watching it is not going to get you in shape.
100%. But our lives are so much more busier. Work asks so much more of you. Work actually, you're working basically 24/7 nowadays. It doesn't matter what job you have. You could have a simple job where you're not even having a degree, but they expect you to be on call and be ready.
Oh, yeah.
And that's understandable. But
I think it's understandable to a point. I think you actually end up creating work zombies.
well, I think the corporate existence we have made has actually been a huge problem. And that's why probably so many people are depressed. They say, well, we have a large number of suicides. I think it's due to the fact that there is this idea that if you don't work, you're less of a human being. And if you don't work extra and always are there and never take sick days and pick up that OT and, you're just the best you can be every time, you're just not a good society. You're just not a good person in society, and you're not valuable. And I think they look at that because you're not making money for society. And
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know if
true.
that's why, but I just think people like to instill hard work in people, which I think is a good thing. But I think we'd be better suited as people and for our stress levels, depression levels, and everything if instead of expecting people to work 50 to 60 hours a week, expecting them to, because honestly, when you work 50 to 60 hours a week, by the time you hit like 35, 40, everything you're doing after that is going downhill. You're not as aware, you're not as good, you're not as fresh. So I think we'd be better suited to have people work hard and do better work with like 20 to 35.
I mean, there's studies out there. I remember reading in a magazine when I was a kid about the best hours to do different activities because your brain works at different times. And then you have to find your own cycle where your brain works the best. Like
Right.
when you first wake up, you should actually you're the most creative and imaginative. So you should work on creativity at that time. And when you have your best focus is here, and when you have your best this is that, and then there should be rest times where you should just be doing nothing because it's best for your brain. And if you really want to do it, it'd be like 20 or 30-minute blocks for everything. And again, this is what sucks. There's all these studies out here that prove that there's great ways to do things, but there's still that demand and expectation.
Yeah, the expectation for the
you
work
work a lot.
hours is the biggest thing. I don't think that, I guess the demand is there as well because people are demanding that you work that much, but
I think when people say, work hard, there was a point in time where working hard had a pride to it because there was a tangible outcome. Nowadays, when everybody's working on computers, if you work with wood or with metal or with anything and you're producing a product, you get to see the end product at the end of the day. So you have a pride in your product. Like, so you're a landscaper. Look at what I did. Look
Right.
what I've accomplished. Look at that front lawn. Look
Yeah.
at that swimming pool. Look at that aqua, whatever thing, set up pond and such, that fountain. Look how I did that. Like a carpenter, look at that house I built, that car I put together. And since everything's automated and a lot of people are spending a lot more time in offices staring at white walls and cubicles, there's no end result. You never get to see what you're done, and the work seems to never stop because if you're like me, you work on a queue. So the queue just never ends. The queue's constantly flowing with information coming in and information going out, an in and out box that never is actually empty and never can be empty.
right, yeah. If it was empty, the business would have a problem.
Right, yeah, you don't want it empty. Bad news, empty. So I think people just have nothing that they really feel like they're accomplishing. I think a lot of people are just walking through this void of like, I work a lot, but what have I even done?
Oh no, I feel like that's 100% how I felt. I was working a ton, but I had nothing personally to show for it. There wasn't something I could say like, oh, look at this beautiful thing that I created, or hey, look, I now own this, or any of that. I was just working my ass off for other people. And I got tired of it. I felt like I was drowning.
Well, this was also another conundrum to that is if everybody switches to being a self-made business owner, who's going to produce the goods? So like there's always that conundrum of like everybody wants to have that like that classic Disney story of like you get what you love, even if I'm not saying exactly like a person, but like your passion in life, you get to enjoy that, and
Right.
you actually that can happen, and that's everybody's dream. And I'm not trying to tell anyone not to chase the dream, but sometimes it's hard to see everyone achieve their dream.
Right.
It's really hard to see that happen.
Well, I do think there are people out there, and good on them. I'm not knocking them in any way, shape, or form. I think it's great that they do just want to go in, work hard, do their job, and then go home and be done with it.
I would agree with that. I think there are some people that are happy with what they have and they don't ask for more. They're content, and I actually am kind of jealous of people.
Very
like
jealous,
that,
yeah.
Of who can, and it's not even doesn't matter what you do. You could be an accountant, you could be a CEO of a small company,
You could work at a factory.
Yeah, you could be a cashier, whatever the job it is. I don't think any job is lesser than the others, and that's the other thing I don't like. Just gonna jump real quick and segue to that.
Yeah,
It's how people perceive jobs. This job is more required than that. Like I'll tell you what, cashiers don't get paid a lot, but if you have the tolerance that a cashier, a waitress, a bus boy, a bus girl, anybody who works in frontline customer service or is on a call center,
yeah.
if you think you work harder than because you make more money or you got a degree, you need to go ahead and check yourself real quick, because I'll tell you, because I've worked in all those industries.
Right. Talk about spending a day in somebody's shoes, because
You
it's stuff
need
you have to deal
be
with.
super patient, and I am not a patient person. I will tell you that right now. And I learned about a lot of patience real fast, because patience affects your dollar. And I learned how to make money, and I made a lot of money waiting, because you can.
Yeah.
If you're
absolutely.
really polite, you say please and thank you, and
Really
you smile.
polite, stay on top of your
just-
shit,
yeah.
give good service.
Just remember, and if you're, there's nothing wrong with writing things down. Write down their order. Do it. It's okay. And say sorry if you forget something. Like I think that too. Like just be okay to be wrong. Be
Yeah.
okay to be wrong, and you'll make money. But anyways, my point is, you get treated like absolute trash in those positions.
Not all the time, but it happens
Yes.
a lot.
Oh, it happens more often. And
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people that are in these very educated positions, I'm not knocking your education. I'm not knocking you going to school for 12 years and becoming a doctor. I'm not knocking a
Right.
lot of these people who become
Because
the
that's
most
also hard
amazing
work.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, they put in more work than I could put in. I would never be a doctor because I would be terrible. I'd be scared to death.
Yeah,
Scared to death.
it's definitely, I
Could
couldn't
not
do
put,
it.
no. But
But they tend to, sometimes some of them tend to look down on those things.
yeah, I think a lot of people in bigger positions look down. I think some probably doctors were waitresses or waiters because they afford to be able to go to school. They probably had to work a lot of those jobs, and they get both sides. And if you're a nurse, you probably dealt with patients and
Right.
family members that are mean and rough as
Right.
well.
And just to clarify, we don't think that everybody at those positions are the ones that are like looking down on people, but it happens is what we're saying. It happens.
There's a look at like, oh, you work at McDonald's, you're less. Man, you know what I put up with all day at McDonald's? And I get paid less than you, a
Yeah.
lot less than you. I get paid minimum wage to get yelled at, get burnt, and make crap food for you to eat. And
Yeah.
you get mad at me, and then you throw the change on the counter. I'm like, my bad, bro. My bad. I have to like earn a living. I'm sorry. I'm trying to live as well. Like,
Right.
it's if we looked at it as we are one giant community, one world, I think you would treat everyone better. I
Right.
mean, I hate to use that movie, what's that movie where they give that day to kill everybody?
Oh, The Purge.
But one thing I will say, if there was a day where they just decided, like, we're just going to get rid of people would be a lot fucking nicer.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
A lot fucking nicer. If you, I think we take mortality for granted. We think we can live till 60 or 70, and we can. So we're assholes about our whole existence because we're not pleasant, because you weren't fast enough checking out my items, or you forgot ketchup when I asked for it for my steak, because why would you even ask for ketchup for a steak in the first place? Why would I even bring that? So things like that.
I'm not positive that I take it as a, like, it's for sure going to happen, me living till 60 or 70. I'm thinking about the past 37 years. I'm like, God, another 30 years? Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, in our current state, it definitely makes you go like, oh, can we? But my dad used to say something like, he had the stuff that happened in the 70s with the gas, where everybody's going to run out of gas and things like
Right.
that. And there was also scares of like nuclear bombs. So I think every generation does have a big scare where they're like, the world's going to end. I mean,
Like climate change.
World War One, that to me, if we're just going to jump on this train real quick,
All right.
imagine just going from, like, there's no noise, there's no cars, there's no highways. It's so fucking quiet in the world right now.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking quiet. People just farm.
Talking about the time of World War One.
Yeah, before coming up to it, like, industry's just kind of getting chucking. Cities are just now getting noisy and producing smoke. You know, it's still pretty rural, quiet, that type of life. Still hard life, very hard life, but
Yeah.
it's a quiet life. And all of a sudden, you have the biggest mechanical war that the world has ever seen just break out across Europe. That, I am guarantee people are going, where's Jesus? He's supposed to show up now. This is the end of the world.
Oh,
Where is
yeah.
Jesus?
I guarantee
he needs
it.
to be here now. I'm done with this. Like,
Yeah.
the monumental amount of fear that went through people's souls watching a bomb that they never seen. We think about nukes at that level. They saw bombs like blow up that just destroyed whole little villages, and like, Look at, did you see that explosion? I've never seen it in my life.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel like it's an issue we actually have here in the United States more than other countries currently, because other countries dealt with that
see
stuff.
conflict constantly.
We haven't had a conflict like that in our mainland U.S. You know what I mean?
Except
we
for,
don't
like the Civil War. Like that's the closest thing.
right, but and again, there you didn't have like tanks, and you weren't having whole cities and towns destroyed. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you didn't have like full on invasion with like entire military groups of different types, like
tanks
planes,
tanking out buildings
boats and everything. Yeah, the whole kit and caboodle. Right, absolutely. I mean, they even complained about it in World War II, like people coming over to America and we're just like, yeah, it's great. Yeah, World War II, it's happening right now, and we're just now. This is coming from my perspective. I didn't live during that time. I'm not trying to insult anyone who lived during that time. Right. Please excuse my disrespect.
But it's real. We here didn't. I mean, obviously, families of soldiers and stuff like that, they felt that pain and they felt some of that pain. But as a country as a whole, we just don't understand that battle, because our buildings are still standing.
Right. We never got to see that conflict at that level, and I agree with that 100%. And I just hope we never have to. I just hope there's a world where we can kind of only ever look at that as history and never look at it as something that is pending in our near or soon to be future. Because I feel like even right now, it feels like war is pending. It really does. I don't want to.
Feels like tensions are high.
Yeah, it definitely. And I feel like even when I was a kid, when in 2008 when we went to war, right, it was like March or something. We decided to go to war in Iraq. Like when that happened, like war is just kind of an impending thing always in our life, and you never know what scale it's going to escalate to.
Right.
I mean, even with the Call of Duty game, if we're going to refer to that, they kind of made the war in Iraq, but a nuke went off. Like, what if that would have happened? What if there really were weapons of mass destruction? I know there weren't. We're not going to go with that argument. There were. What are they doing? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I'm sure there were terrible reasons why they're there, and I'm sure there's justifiable reasons on both sides. We can pro and con that all day. I don't have CIA intelligence. I don't know, and I don't want to look it up.
Yeah. But yeah, I get what you're saying, but I definitely think it's a problem that we have here. We don't understand war the way other countries do.
Yeah,
we really don't. And like, as crazy as it sounds, I think that's an unfortunate thing for the people of the United States. I think that, look at what happened when the towers got hit. The country came together so fast, but we're going to take a piss break. Hold on. All right, so back from the piss break, I'm going to jump back into where I was. So we were talking about how I think other countries are in some ways better off because they felt that pain. I mean, don't get me wrong. Nobody should ever have to deal with war. But I just think it helps your society in some weird aspect. So just think about 9/11. So we didn't lose a whole city. We didn't lose anything like that. We lost 2 towers, essentially. Correct?
Which is still a tragedy, nonetheless.
Still a massive tragedy. Massive tragedy. But look how much it brought us together. You know what I mean?
Us as a whole people.
For a brief, I don't know if brief period of time, but for a few years, like you didn't care who was who. Everybody was on your side. Yeah, you were American.
Absolutely. I think it was the first time like people who were probably a little bit racist weren't for once. They were actually like able to just see everybody as who they were, someone who lives in the same country and wants the same values you have.
Right.
And I agree. War kind of unites you in a way, but I think war, and that's the biggest tragedy we're having right now, is we're creating this idea of if you're not with me, you're against me. And that is the most foolish way of looking at things. And that's what started World War I. And I believe 100% that we are still fighting World War I in a way, because we are still in that conflict of us versus them.
Right.
If you're not with us, you're against us.
Yeah.
And that's our still, even in America, we do that now. There's groups of people creating this ideology where if you don't like what we like, well, then you're wrong. Instead of saying like, you have a different opinion than me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we both want to live. We both need to eat, sleep, and just generally survive. So I do think there are radical ideas that should be kind of put out.
Right.
Any violent ideas definitely should be put out.
Yeah, we definitely should get away from violence. But another thing I wanted to touch on with that, we don't fight the wars on our soil. I think it's also a reason that we have such a problem with soldiers coming back with PTSD and things like that. Because when they come back here, so in other countries, when those soldiers go back to their normal life, the people in their country have had to deal with that same war. So they have a higher sense of taking care of that soldier because they felt the same things that soldier felt, because their town got destroyed or their home got blown up or any of that. When a soldier comes back here, not that we don't want to take care of them as a society, but they look at us and they're like, you can't relate to what I've been through.
No, that's a great point. I actually never thought of it in that aspect until this moment right now.
Yeah, because I honestly think, I mean, I haven't done the research, but from a couple books I've read and things like that, we have a bigger problem with PTSD than other countries because they've kind of lived through war, gone through war.
Yeah, and we haven't. So, like, yeah, you're right. We don't have. I don't know what it's like to be shelled. I don't know what it's like to be under fire. I don't know what it's like to experience that. So I can't relate to you when you come back and you have, whatever. I don't understand PTSD 100%, but if you have flashbacks, wherever the case may be, I can't relate to that and comfort you in that situation.
Right, exactly. So it's just, to me, it's a weird thing I've been thinking about since I read that book, Tribe. They also talked about, like, back in the day, Native American tribes and how they dealt with war and how they had zero PTSD because literally the wars were always fought right next to, wherever your tribe habitated because you were only we didn't have planes and cars to get long distances fast.
Well, that's what I was going to say. And war I think war now is like merciless now. Like, think about it. Like with machine guns and everything, even in World War I when they introduced it, like how easy it is to just mow down a group of men.
Yeah.
With a machine gun fire. Like, you can just take out 5 or 6 people like that. Like, so I think even when you talk about Indians, and not trying to insult anyone, which I feel like I am already,
not at all.
Either way, you were fighting with bows and arrows and things like that. Like, it just wasn't
clubs, axes, knives.
It might have been destructive, and I'm not saying it wasn't, but
not nearly as destructive.
The mechanical level of destruction you have from World War on, I think it creates a greater level of anxiety in a person. Like, when you're crashing, when you're on a battlefield and there's planes flying over, dropping bombs, exploding, they're catching on fire. That's happening. You got planes also making their checkpoint and dropping bombs where they need to. You got tanks shooting fire. You got squad orders. You got fire. You're taking. You're flanking. You're making moves. You're trying to do stuff, and all under all this loud, obnoxious amount of metal crashing all around you.
Well, and
that can kill you.
And also with the tribes, they were so close to battle. Something else they did, and they never had an issue with it from anything that I've listened to, is during times of war, the fighters, the warriors, they took over control of the tribe. The tribe did what they said. And then as soon as war was over, it went back to, like, the shaman or the medicine man or whoever was normally in charge. And they just lived like that, no problem. There was never, the warlord never said, like, okay, no, I'm keeping this forever. You know what I mean?
I'm sure there probably were times when there was like that. People are people. I mean, if anyone ever wants to say people are more evil now than they were then, I would disagree 100%.
No, there's just more people, so there's more evil people.
And evil has different faces forever, and it'll be different ways, whether it's in a corporate face or it's just your neighbor or whoever it is. It has different looks to it. People still have that nature of taking advantage when they can, and I think when people see the opportunity and they think they can make a big gain off of it,
Well, and who knows when lying actually got invented? Did you ever see that movie with Ricky Gervais called The Invention of Lying?
No, I've never even heard of it, to be honest.
So in the movie, the premise is that nobody has ever lied, but it's like modern day, but nobody's ever lied. So he becomes the first person to start lying and just gets whatever he wants because he's
a liar, right?
Because he's a liar, and everybody else tells the truth, so nobody even questions whether or not he's telling the truth. So you have to think about when lying became a thing and got invented.
I think lying was invented as soon as people walk the earth.
As soon as they could communicate.
As soon as we could communicate, deception existed because deception is part of survival because you use deception to deceive your prey.
Right.
So like deception is like probably one of the first things people learned. I would imagine.
Keep talking. I got to go fix something, but keep talking.
Absolutely. But deception is probably something we learned. So lying is definitely something not taught.
Yeah, it seems like something that's almost inherent in your DNA right off the bat.
Absolutely.
But I would say we do have.
Think about like when you have a kid, a real little kid that's first learning about lying. And they realize when they lie, they can get what they want. It's really hard to tell them that's bad because in the kid's mind, they're not looking at it good or bad. They're looking at it getting what I want versus not getting what I want.
Well, yeah, it's like a reward system.
Right. So if I lie, I get what I want. Well, lying is great. It's the best tool ever. I should lie all the time. So I think lying is definitely something that you just kind of develop automatically and understand it exists. It's there.
Right.
It's a hard one to say that isn't
not
there.
But you try not to lie, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, people say there's types to lie, and I definitely agree. There are times where maybe maybe you don't need to tell the whole truth because it can be damaging to the person.
Right.
Like, but it also goes about the way you present things. 'Cause if you present what you mean in a certain way, it can come off negative. Is all I'm saying. Like, you can give advice and give information or do whatever. Or someone says, "Oh, how does this dress look?" I don't know. You could probably say it in some way that is flattering without be honest at the same time without having to make some white lie or something like that.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes, obviously, if you're asked a direct question, that makes it tougher. But sometimes, instead of lying, sometimes you can just not say something. You know what I mean? Like when something happens and you're like, man, I should say something. Maybe that time you actually shouldn't.
In that aspect, I agree. But if okay, let's just say you have a girlfriend and she asks you how her butt looks in that dress. Like, you're gonna have to answer that question.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's a direct question.
Right. You're not gonna be able to just like, I'm not answering that. I'm just gonna sit here and say nothing.
Yeah. Well, because plus that's already a perceived negative if you won't.
Right. And not only that, like I get that that's a joke and that's a funny thing. I would feel like most people, no matter what relationship you're in, if you're in love with the person you're with, it's gonna, no matter what you say, it's gonna be fine, because I think most people are attracted to their partner, so they're gonna be like, you look fucking awesome. So
right.
Like,
well, and it should be okay to say, like, you know what, I actually like your ass better in those other jeans than these ones.
Absolutely.
That should be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you look better actually wearing that, or you look great what you're wearing now. Yeah, I think you look fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Oh God, don't say fine.
Oh, whatever. Sorry. Yeah. Clearly, I don't have the right to words.
Oh man. So what else did you want to get into today? I know you wanted to talk maybe a little bit about video games or maybe like modern media.
Well, just the changing of media and different stuff. I think it's interesting to see how TV was such a dominant force in media and how TV's kind of getting overlapped by the internet, and because the internet has so much more opportunity. People can make their own individual content. Streamers can not only make content, but they can get instant feedback on their content through chat,
which is huge.
So there's a lot of big changes to that, and not only that, like, it has some negatives, such as young kids making content and companies taking advantage of that, making outrageous contracts where they basically steal all the kids' money that they're making when they're doing these things.
Which that's happened for years, though. I mean, even like the music industry is the best example of it.
The
artist doesn't even own their music.
It's a new industry, so it's not like really been leveled out as far as this litigation is concerned. As far as I've known, I've seen there's been some issues with certain streamers having contracts that are like, they're making like 20% of their profits.
I don't even understand how they get into those contracts.
I'm not 100% sure either.
Because like if this ever took off, nobody would ever own this but me. You know what I mean?
But like for them to put advertisements on, and there's so much money, like for them to do that, they get a percentage of the money made, and you get a percentage of the money made. But their contracts are also like contracts of like, you have to play a specific game, amount of stuff.
They're like going with, like, if it's a gamer, then they're being paid to play certain games,
right, and do certain things. Some of them. So again, I'm speaking loosely on this because I'm not giving specifics, because I've just heard these stories. I don't have the exacts.
Well, and that might actually be different, because maybe without having a contract with the people that make Call of Duty, they can't make money off of playing Call of Duty and putting it online.
Well, not even say like the company itself. Let's say the platform you're using. Let's say you're using Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or Mixer, or whatever form you're using. That platform makes money off of like your stuff. So like, when you make a YouTube video, certain things you do can get you demonetized. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but you can't make money off that video for whatever reason.
Yeah, if you use anything that's copyrighted, like if there's anything copyrighted in your video, then it gets demonetized.
There, so there's that. So like, I guess if the way I was speaking, like these people have contracts with like groups. Like, let's say there's like a clan, they have a contract with this clan where they have to produce content for that like group. Like, so let me give a very specific example. So there's Space Station Gaming, which is a group that does gaming, but they do it over different esports like Rainbow Six, but they also do it for like Rocket League and stuff.
Right.
So they have people that are the professional players that play the actual esport and are on the teams, but then they have content creators, people who they hire to make content relating to the sport itself, or maybe even just to the group. So like two people that I know, like Sunless Khan and like Mertzi, they got picked up as content creators for Space Station Gaming and Rocket League to make content for that group. That's what they do from what I
so
understand.
they're being paid. But so they're being paid for their content by.
I believe
Yeah.
so. Don't quote me.
But
on
that's
any of
basically
this.
like if Fox Radio wanted to pick up my podcast and I would have a contract with them, they could
Right.
continue to do what they were doing without going into that contract. They feel like it's worth it because it's going to give them a bigger platform.
Right. And so like when you can do streaming, you can eventually, if you become big enough, get contracts like that. From what I understand, a lot of people, at least the ones that I follow, from what I understand, they just partner with the platform they're with. So like basically, they've streamed, and I guess they got a good enough following that the platform they're with decides to help them make money. I'm not exactly how it works 100%. Sure, but basically they're partnered with, like, let's say Facebook or Twitter, whatever.
Yeah.
And they make X amount of dollars off of stars given, like people who donate money during the stream, and then they have subscribers, and they make X amount of dollars off of the subscribers payment they make each month for supporting them as a streamer.
Right. I was going to say again. Yeah, that would be entering into, like, say, YouTube, because like I could put everything on YouTube and I could end up getting ads myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Without involving YouTube in it, they just start putting ads on my videos. You know what I mean? But maybe if you go into a contract with YouTube, then YouTube makes sure that you get towards like the top of the search.
Yeah, they have depending on how many reactions and certain things. Yeah, absolutely. There's an algorithm or whatever it is for that. Well, the one thing I wanted to get into on that is so they have all these contracts and stuff. I don't know too much about it, but I just don't see how it wouldn't be possible for some of these large, big-time streamers, people who have 40,000 people watching them at every second while they play the game. Like, they have a huge following.
Right.
Not just make their own website and just do it all themselves, pay the price of their own domain. Their followers will follow them. They donate money all the time, and people donate, and I'm not talking like, yeah, people donate to $5, but people are donating hundreds,
Right.
thousands of dollars. And if you have 40,000 people, and let's just say half of those people are subscribers, but these people have more than that. They have like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And subscribers pay, like, let's say $6 a month, and you make half of that, you get $3. $3 out of 100,000 people.
Right.
That's 300,000 people. I mean, $300,000 a month. I'm just spitballing numbers here.
Right. You're just making up numbers, but I get it. But
you could make tons of money running your own website without even having to be partnered with these people. This is a theoretical
yeah, you
idea.
could. But the problem is that you would have to have a website that can handle the bandwidth.
Well,
Which again means more money.
Well, I will say, I don't know again how much these people, what all goes into streaming, but these people got to be making, like, Ninja, that guy, he's got to be, what is he making, like $500,000 a month, they said at one point he was making? He's got the money. He's got the money to do it.
But you can be
and
on YouTube.
And he's got the followers to do it.
Right, but you can be on YouTube and make money from YouTube, and YouTube doesn't get a portion of it.
People,
like Joe Rogan, he's on YouTube, and he makes a lot of money from his YouTube.
No, I agree.
But nobody gets a cut from that.
I'm just saying, well, then maybe there's no need for that. Then maybe I'm completely talking, and this is just wasted air. And I should never have brought that up.
No, I'm not saying that.
No, I'm just.
Yeah, because I do get what you're saying, and it sounds like there are people who jump into these contracts, obviously, but to me, they can probably do it without being in those contracts, or at least if they think it's going to help them build a base of followers. Their brand, then just enter into it for a year or two or something. But you really overall don't have to do it. Joe Rogan's probably got more followers than God knows who, like maybe everybody. But nobody's taking a portion of what he's doing. You know what I mean? All his money goes to him. YouTube's not taking money from him.
You sure about that?
I'm pretty positive.
All right, I'm not,
because he's not in a contract with YouTube. He just puts it on YouTube.
Yeah, but YouTube still is the platform that produces that, so they still have to take a cut, right? I don't know. I would assume there has to be. They take some amount.
Well, yeah, I would have to imagine that that there is a base amount that they get from advertisements that go on YouTube. I mean, I would have to imagine that, but that's just for everybody. That's not really. I guess that would be the contract you enter into as soon as you sign up for YouTube.
Right. I guess you're right with that.
Yeah. But the bandwidth, I think, would be a massive issue.
Probably.
Because it has to, if you think about the bandwidth and stuff that Twitter and YouTube has, it has to cost tons of money for them to have that kind of bandwidth.
Servers they have up. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, probably not a bad. Yeah.
It's a matter of how much you're willing to invest in your own bandwidth and stuff like that. Because obviously, somebody started YouTube. You know what I mean?
True.
But then you have to have the content to support it. Like YouTube has so much content that they get supported by all of it. You would just have your own content, so you would really want to create a much larger channel, maybe then get other streamers to come on it. But then you're going to be the guy that's taking a portion of theirs.
Right. I was just looking at it a way of making more of a free market where people don't feel like they're being corporately held to have to pay money to some corporation and still be able to produce content. Because the big thing about streamers that I love is it's free.
Right.
I just go on YouTube, and as long as I have a YouTube account, I can watch it, or Twitter, or any of those platforms. As long as I make an account, I can watch it. I can pay money to do different things, absolutely, and increase my experience, if you would. But for the most part, it's free content.
Right.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about the change in content and in media, where TV was always free. Don't get me wrong, in a sense, like local channels were at least. But then you pay for these cable packages that are super expensive. As long as I pay for my internet connection, that's all I really need, and I can do so much more. I can watch TV, I can stream TV, I can stream streamers, I can learn about stuff. The possibilities are endless, is what I'm getting at. So the main thing is that we're changing media into a whole different realm with streamers and all that. And I just thought it would be cool if they did that, because
they took control of their own.
Yeah. Before it got too corporately controlled and they were kind of like beaten and there's no way to fight back against it, where the corporate side got too big. Because I mean, games used to be a very niche thing, in my opinion. You know, and being a gamer was never looked at like, oh, you're super cool because you're a gamer. No one really thought that way. And
nobody thought you would ever really be able to make money from it.
Right. And no one, I don't think still today, I don't think it's too looked at as a cool thing or anything of an attractive thing to do, because it's still looked at as like a neck-bearded, overweight, out-of-shape, Dorito-eating, Mountain Dew drinking person.
Right.
Plays video games. And you're irresponsible if you play video games as well. So like that's at least the perception I get, is how people usually looked at video games for a while.
I think it is changing some, but I do still think there is a mass amount of that. I still think there's more of that than there is actually people like, hey man, you know what? You can make a decent living playing games, because a lot of people do now.
Well, I think that's what's changed.
Some people don't even have to be good at the game; they just have to be entertaining.
Yeah, and I agree. That's the thing that's happening now. The whole script has been flipped, and now all of a sudden you look at gamers and the gaming industry, and it's making money. Now gaming industries are multi-million, probably billion-dollar industries with the games they make and the content. I mean, look at Fortnite. They were crushing monthly reports and the money they were making because of their monetization, their system where they had what's that called? Microtransactions. Microtransactions for cosmetics made a killing. So then all of a sudden, like, people saw, corporations at least, look at all this money we can make in this industry here it's really not tapped yet. Video games hasn't been tapped to the level it can be, and I feel like video games now is kind of in a sort of a renaissance era to a degree. They're pumping out games in a lot at once, and they're kind of, a lot of them are pretty high quality. A lot of them are kind of like, this is broken, you need to fix it, but it gets fixed in time.
Yeah.
But video games right now are all of a sudden becoming like, look at all this money we can make. Streamers now is a big thing, and then you got advertising that can go along with that. I mean, think about it. When you have someone that's streaming for 8 hours a day and they have 50,000 people watching them, or 40,000 or 30,000 people, or even 1,000 people watching them that whole time.
Yeah.
And it's not always going to be the same 1,000 people.
Right.
And you know what type of people is watching video game streamers. You got a market you can target really easily with advertisements. Like it's just, I think they're all of a sudden seeing like, well, look at all we can do this video gaming. Look at this huge market we have, and I just want to make sure that it's not destroyed by that corporate entity of, you know, let's just try to milk it for as much as we can, destroy it, and then move on to the next big thing.
Yeah, well, I don't think it'll happen. I think we're a long way away from there being a next big thing. I think we're still in the infantile stages of this current form of media, whether it be podcasts or whether it be video game twitching, video game streaming, because I do think that's all kind of in the same realm. Because it's very free. It really is.
Absolutely. And again, that's what makes it great. I think that's why there's a decrease in people doing a lot of other activities where people were like, oh, it's dying. And I'm like, I don't know if it's exactly dying. It's just we got so much more we can do. There's so much more media. There's so much more entertaining things out there. I'm not saying they're more entertaining, but when you talk about like people discussing football, and they talk about like, oh, the numbers are going down. I don't think it's football's fault 100%, but
I think most of it's not football's fault. Like you said, there's just so much more content in the world.
There's so much more to do.
Yeah.
There's so much more TV to watch. There's so much more video games. There's so much more TV shows to watch.
Right.
And then on top of that, there's all these cool projects and YouTube things and all kinds of stuff like that. Like people who I don't know, just build really, really cool things, do restorations, cooking channels, ASMR channels.
I like watching those YouTube videos of those guys in like, I don't know if they actually live in third world countries, but how they set up the video, it's what it looks like. And they build like huts and pools and stuff, just like literally with their hands and what's around them. You know what I mean? It's really fun to watch that stuff.
Absolutely super entertaining. That's the one thing that is kind of dangerous about media is you wonder, like, especially with those animal rescue videos, I don't like them that much because I wonder sometimes, like, was this staged? Did you go ahead and set this up so you could save this animal?
Did you put this dog in a bad situation?
Like, I don't really like it because it does create like fake internet. Like, I don't mind fake internet sometimes because if it's harmless, who cares if it's fake? That's acting. Like that's movies. That's that doesn't bother me. But you're faking something for likes because like they saved that dog. Yeah, well they fucking threw that dog
into that ditch.
Yeah, or like they infected it with parasites and then they saved it and look that they did.
Yeah.
Like
I hope that doesn't happen. I really do. But hopefully people will get caught.
We're talking about people though.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Oh, it's not a possibility. It's happening. I mean, I hate to be that guy, but it's happening. There's videos out there where people have definitely done damage for just purely for the fact that someone will throw an extra like on there. And the fact that now that you can make money off of getting a lot of subscribers and people liking your videos, I think only further encourages a negative attempt at getting
for sure
to watch your video.
I think another problem with football actually is probably football when it was in its heyday, you know, like probably when they were making their most amount of money equivalent to the money that was in the world at the time, I guess we should say, something to that effect, but is when there were like 25 channels. You know what I mean? There was not so much content. Literally, TV had 25 channels. So Monday Night Football, everybody was watching Monday Night Football.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Like, there was not much on TV, so you watched what was available to you, especially if it was like on a local channel, like when a lot of times football was like it's Sunday nights. It used to be on like ABC or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not sure. I'm not a big football fan, so I apologize. But yeah, it was just on a local channel you could watch. You didn't even have to pay for it usually. Now that you have everything else that people can watch and all these TV shows, I don't really, okay, football will be on, but if something catches my eye that's more entertaining, I'm just going to do that.
Yeah.
And especially with things being non-TV related, with video games being extremely popular and just other forms of content that people would tend to enjoy, not even just video games, just YouTube and stuff like that. People just have better stuff to do.
You know what I'm kind of surprised by? I don't know why this just popped in my head, but I'm kind of surprised for, like you said, local channels. So like local channels, why don't they try to do like their own local shows? I know they have some like talk shows and stuff like that, but why not try to have your own local sitcom if you can find the right people? You know what I mean? I
think the biggest problem with that is it's cringy. It ends up
It
ends up because it's low budget. It's just poorly put together and it doesn't get a good. The only way it's going to be well received is when people just make fun of it. Now, this is a pure opinion, but from the local stuff I've seen produced on local channels, when they try to do stuff, like when I was in college in Kentucky, we watched some locally produced, they had plays and stuff.
Oh, really?
On TV, and it was just like...
Yeah, but a play is so much harder to do.
I agree, but
like
the problem is...
Your local news station has all the cameras you need.
The local station is getting local talent as well. You're not driving from a worldwide pool of actors, so like... It's just... It doesn't work in my opinion because it's only entertaining at the sake of someone's humiliation. It's not going to be entertaining because it's actually quality content. It's going to be entertaining because like, ooh, did you see? Oh, that's her. I see her at Walmart. Like it's going to be more of like a humiliation type of thing, and that's why I think it just doesn't have success because low budget things aren't good unless you have talent there, and it's hard to grab talent from small towns because small towns usually lose talent because talent usually leaves small towns. Like as soon as they realize they're talented, they get a scholarship, they go to a nice school, they get a great job,
and they're somewhere else.
But that's the thing. It could be for like an aspiring actor that is from your area. Most places have
That
people
would be like
that want to be
kids, in my opinion. You would just go to the high school play then, right? I mean, I'm just saying in my opinion.
I mean, and I completely get what you're saying. Like if you just go from this small select pool, you're not going to have as many of the talented actors and stuff like that. But in some ways, you could also still be like, hey, we pulled in this one guy. Who isn't like a super mainstream star, but he's done a lot of acting, and he's going to be the lead of this, and then we're going to surround him with some local aspiring actors. Who knows?
Well, and again, where are you going to get the money for this? Like local towns, especially I think around here, everyone's struggling for money. I mean,
oh yeah,
in this economy,
yeah,
you want that?
But apparently, from everything I'm hearing, the economy is booming.
Well, I mean, I guess it is, but like from my perspective and most people I know, it's not booming.
Right, yeah.
It's very much not booming. So it's booming for the rich, I guess, but it's not booming for, I think, a common American. And when I say common American, I mean everyone that's not rich. I mean anyone from any level that doesn't just enjoy their life because money's well-to-do. Because I think people have savings, but life's still a struggle. Like I got a savings, but it's still rough. Like it's still a tough time out there. You're still,
and one thing goes wrong.
frugal.
One thing goes wrong, and you're tapping into that savings really quickly.
Right, absolutely. And so, yeah, the economy's rough. I don't think local shows, whatever. There's just not money for it.
Right. You're probably right, but it was intriguing to me.
I think it would be a good idea in thought. Yeah, like in theory, I think producing local things would be good.
I mean, but to me, like we're sitting here talking about people doing podcasts and streaming and stuff like that. Like that is a local guy. You know what I mean? So why can't we have a local show with that guy?
Yeah, I guess I could see, but I think maybe also people who are doing stuff like what you're doing now don't see that as a good. They don't want to get stuck branded as that local guy who does that local show. Maybe either. Maybe they want their brand to grow in a way because you see individuals that are, just they're individual and also their brand's super big, and now they, again, going back to the streamers and stuff like that, having thousands of people watching them at any given moment.
Yeah.
They didn't hook up with any local station. They just did it all on their own because they were individually talented all by themselves.
Yeah, and I do think that is something that plays in. Because I worry sometimes about having people on and making the podcast too localized. I try to think of it then, like when we talk about local economy and stuff like that sometimes. I do think about, at the same time, when we're talking about our local economy, there could be aspects of that relate to other people's local economies, so maybe I shouldn't worry about it as much, but it's something that's always in the back of my head.
No, I wouldn't worry too much about having who's on the show and where they're from, because
I don't worry about them coming on, but it's more the subject of the conversation. Like, if we're sitting here always talking about the business in Steubenville,
how can people relate?
Right.
Absolutely. And how can people listen to that and feel entertained by it? I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
But from what I can understand from the podcast that I've listened to so far, it seems to be it just talks about general stuff. So I think it has a relatable amount of content to it. So as long as you're just talking about things that anybody can relate to, I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, well, that's typically what I do. Like I said, I was just relating it to doing like a local show or something like that. I do worry about things getting too localized.
Absolutely.
So, oh man, this bourbon is taking a toll on me.
I would agree. Actually, I'm a lightweight, so let's just be honest. I drink like once every 6 months. So when I do drink, it's very powerful.
And you've had a couple of that was nice bourbons on the rock.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really good. It still is really good, but like I can definitely feel like it's giving a good effect on me.
Can feel the effects.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's slowing me down, I feel like, more than anything.
Well, I think in some ways that might be good for you.
Yeah, probably.
Sometimes you can just fly
off the handle. Absolutely. It's made me very comfortable, though. I'm just enjoying the studio.
Enjoying the studio. You like it?
Conversation. Yeah, absolutely. I like everything you've done in the studio.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I put a decent amount of money into it. Nothing crazy, but I'm definitely happy with it. I definitely get to enjoy talking to my random friends.
Yeah, and it just shows, like, if you have a dream, like we kind of talked about earlier, a little bit of effort goes a long way, and you'll enjoy every step of it. And you can upgrade as you go. I think a lot of people are scared of, like, well, what if I don't get the best right away? Well, that's fine. Get cheap junk, because cheap junk turns into medium junk, and then turns into good stuff that turns into great stuff, because you continue to grow who you are. And you rather spend very little money up front on it anyways and buy cheaper stuff, because what if it isn't the thing you really wanted? You didn't waste thousands of dollars on something and then find out well, this is something I actually don't want to chase at all. So I think a lot of people, this is just a great example of like, have a dream and go get it. Like, throw some money into a sock if you have to, whatever you got to do, and do it. I know like a lot of people are like, I don't even have money to throw in a sock. Like, I guarantee you, there's something you're doing in your life right now that is a waste of money.
Oh yeah,
it is an absolute waste of money.
It's a guarantee in everybody's
guarantee
life.
There's something you're doing that you're wasting money on, and it's fine to waste money on stuff when you have money to waste. I don't think there's anything wrong with like, I do this and this is my little thing I do.
Yeah,
okay,
then do it. Awesome, good for you.
But if you're trying to achieve something and you're kind of stuck somewhere and you're not really happy and you want to make something,
got to make some sacrifices.
People talk about like, oh, I lent. Like, you could do that all year around. You don't have to do it for religion. You can do it because it can better yourself. Like, look at yourself and just ask, what's one thing I can give up? One thing that I do in excess that is not necessary, that even if I don't give it up, what if I just cut back on it? What if I just did a little bit less?
For sure.
And it could be simple as like, how often do I go out to eat? Cut that back by one day.
Yeah.
Just one day. That's going to save you money. That's $10.
Yeah, definitely.
Minimum. I know it's $10 or more you're spending. So it's $10 or less. Yeah, or
you
more.
Can't go anywhere and eat for less than $10 anymore.
Unless you're a tiny human being who doesn't eat food really at all. Then I guess you kind of beat me, and I don't know how you're living your life, whatever.
But I definitely pursue your dream and do it early. Don't wait too long. Like I waited till I was 37 to do it.
I would agree with that, but I also say like it's always the classic saying or the cliche saying of there's never too late. Just do it.
Right.
Don't think too much. Don't hang your hat so much on time. I think we hang our hat too much on time, and we're so worried about time and how old we are and what time we have left, and just do it. Just do it because you're gonna be happy the whole way along, and that's the thing you don't get. You got this goal, and you're waiting to become the most famous this or whatever, but that whole cliche in it again, man. The journey is really what's you're gonna enjoy the whole process. Like, look at all this cool stuff you did, because a couple times in that whole journey, you're gonna sit back and wherever you're at, whether you're by yourself with a group of friends, you're gonna be like, man, remember when it was like this? Remember when I had that tiny studio in this tiny place, this little apartment?
Right.
Remember that time? Like, remember where we started? It'll be great memories to look back on. And I think a lot of people are just scared of taking that step, and I am too. Don't get me wrong. You don't want to be out of your comfortable zone, but you don't have to like dive into the fucking ocean.
Right.
Like, just stick your toe in. Just stick your damn toe in.
And not just that, realize that you're diving into something that you want to do.
Right.
And for me, like you said about saving money or whatever, I'm bad at saving money. So what I ended up doing was I took out a loan to get it. And now I just have to pay that loan off. There's no option around it. Now I have to make the sacrifice over here monetarily and make this payment. So I kind of forced myself into it. And then, like you said, spending a bunch of money. Like the mics that everybody gets for podcasts are they're Shure mics, and I forget, it's like 7 MB 50 or something like that, but they're $400 or $500 mics. You know what I mean? I did a little research. I found ones that, from everything I read, had good sound quality, were pretty much top of the line mics, not the best, but real good. And I got 4 of them for about $400 or $500.
Yeah, and not only that, you can also look at, it's all about your passion about what you like. You'll find things that are like a year older, because a big thing about like the next year's model makes the last year's or the 2 years model not as pricey, and you'll find out like a model year or two older is actually just as good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just as good, and it actually might have less problems because they still have to work out software issues, and you got like updates that'll have to happen with little glitches here and there. I mean, if you build PCs, anyone ever done that, they'll understand that 100%, because me personally, just getting into that now recently, you realize real quick, like, save your money. Buy a brand product that's a year or two older. It can be brand new, because I still prefer brand new, because I don't trust people at all. People don't take care of things, I swear, the way I do.
Oh, yeah. I get that. Especially you.
Yeah, there's no way. I just don't. I'm sorry. I mean, maybe I'm cocky in that, but...
You're not cocky. You're just anal about that type of stuff.
I just baby stuff. I just baby it. So I don't like when people are rough with stuff.
I feel like you probably cleaned your PlayStation at least once a week.
All the time, man. I still clean my PC all the time. It's just, it's how I am. But I love doing it because I'm passionate about video gaming. I'm passionate about being on the PC. I'm passionate about the whole, and I have a console too, so I'm passionate about that as well. Like, no, I'm not trying to make PC better than console. I'm not trying to make that stupid argument. Right. I can't stand that. Just enjoy playing video games. I just want everyone to have fun. I want people to just be more relaxed about it and quit falling into these compartments. We like to love shoving people in boxes and making them a certain way because they do a certain thing instead of just realizing they're an individual that likes that, and they also like a bunch of other stuff too. And yes, you can generalize people. That is very easy to do, and I can do it all the time. And in certain circumstances, that is fine.
Yeah.
But I just like to, break that mold. Let's break that mold of stereotyping people so easily and so quickly.
Yeah.
We don't need to judge people as much anymore. I get it's instinctual. We did that back in the day for survival, but at this point in age, we can think about it a little bit more and go like, there's really no need to judge people that harshly. Like, yeah, you play video games. Yeah, you do this. Yeah, you do that. Whatever you do, because you do it and you love it, and just be happy about it.
Right, not worry about it. but back to the original part of the conversation of actually just getting things done and pursuing like your dream. The other good thing about me just getting all the stuff, doing it in kind of a cheaper way, is now I look at little things I can improve on. Like I can now look at getting a mixer board.
Yep.
And now it doesn't seem as unattainable because I already have everything I need. Mm-hmm. Now maybe I go ahead and spend another $300 or $400 on a mixing board.
100%. So like I can relate it to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and be super narcissistic and come
absolutely.
right back to me.
It should be,
with the PC, I built my first PC and I thought that was gonna be the hardest thing ever. And I think a lot of people think the same way. Like a lot of console gamers out there don't realize how much money they can save and do it. And like, you go buy a new console, you're gonna spend what, $500?
Yeah, probably.
And then you're gonna get a game with it, and you're gonna get controllers, and you're gonna get controller stands, you're gonna get this and all that accessories. You're probably spending $1,000. You don't realize if you just took that same $1,000, just saved it, and built your PC. Upgrading parts is super cheap, part by part. Getting RAM is not that expensive. So I started out with only 16 gigs of RAM. Now I'm at 64 because I didn't need it all at once. I didn't have that many games I had unnecessary. I have a very small SSD card. I'm already upgrading to getting a new one because I didn't need anything big at first. And now I can part things part by the time.
Right, and it's a lot cheaper than your initial purchase.
Absolutely.
And so it doesn't seem as out of reach.
Right, because when I first bought my motherboard's 2 years old, but that's okay because I saved a lot of money on that motherboard because of that. So now I can buy a newer motherboard what I want to when I make my next build. It's just things exactly like piecing it out. Once you get the kind of your base built, it's good. I almost want to say like imagine build your dream like kind of like when people build cars back in the day. You go buy a junker.
Yeah.
You'll pick up that junker and you piece it together. You one piece at a time because you can't build it all together at once, and that wouldn't even be fun. Like what's the fun of all of a sudden just having it all done right then and there?
Right. You just be buying a brand new car instead of doing your passion.
Yeah, and you learn so much on the way when you build that car. Like, oh, I actually found out that I read about this let's just say braking system.
Yeah.
But then as I use that, I realized I don't really prefer that braking system. Though the reviews are great, I actually started using this other system, and it's actually great for what I like to do in my build. And you can say the same thing about fans and coolants and things like that when you make a PC, or even like what you said with mics in podcasting. It all of a sudden then you do get a preference because you start getting experience.
Right.
And I think that's what some people want to skip is that experience part. But like the experience is the best part. I mean, like I'm going to relate this to sex actually real quick. Like sex isn't always about getting off. It's about the whole time about getting up to that point. Like,
oh yeah, for
so
sure.
like I think a lot of people don't. It's just the same thing with life. Like it's all about the journey, man. That cliche again. Like when you go chase your dream, that whole part of starting nowhere and being a rock star band in your garage.
Right.
And the next thing you know, you're fucking. Can't even name.
Yeah, if you didn't have to go through the journey, then you really don't have any of the experience to reflect on and be like, man, how about that?
Right, absolutely. I was trying to think of the band's name though.
What, a band that started in a garage, like all of them?
Like yes, all of them, but I was specifically thinking of a '90s band.
Like what, Nirvana?
Yes, thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking.
That's great. That's hilarious.
I'm glad you said that because I would have not been able to think of anything else until that word came out. But absolutely. A lot of people grew up believing that they're unique and super special. And I think that was also kind of a shitty setup because I think a lot of people realize we're all average. But being average isn't bad.
No.
There's nothing wrong with being average because being an average whatever you are is super advantageous in many different aspects. Like, okay, let's say...
And it's relatable to people.
Yeah. So if you're an average accountant or you're an average streamer, you're average whatever, you're still making an income and you're still doing something at a pretty achievable rate because average is like C, right? Like that's a C grade, right? That's middle of the line. But
I think it's okay to be average, but I think you should always aspire to be more.
Yeah, because like majority of the days you'll be average, but you'll have those days when you're on fire.
Right.
When you're you're better that you don't even understand how you're that good at whatever you're doing, but you are fucking great.
Right, and then you talk about that time all the time.
Oh boy, that time will live in infamy. Like, whatever.
Infamy.
Thank you. Yes, that time. So again, goes along with that whole experience thing. When you go ahead and try to experience something, it has a lot of great moments, and those moments where you pop off, where you're in the zone, you're in the moment, and you're just killing it.
Yeah.
And even if people didn't think you were in the zone or killing it, you knew you were. Like it was more for you, and that thrill and exhilaration you get, and that feeling you get from it is what matters the most. Because at the end of the day, just like anyone else, like I hate to say we're average, you're going to pay your bills,
right?
You're going to pay your taxes, and you're going to die. And
it should be the most to you. If you do things for it to mean more to other people than you, then you're never really going to be fully satisfied.
True. I mean, you're the creator of your own happiness. I know people say that, but I'm not going to deny. If you gave me $1 billion, I'll tell you, I'll be one happy motherfucker.
Without a doubt. Like, I love that when people say money doesn't buy happiness. It buys some.
Yeah.
It depends on what you do with it from there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I have a lot of problems, but a few of them could be resolved with some money. I'll tell you that right now.
I'd say most of my problems that I feel bearing down on me would be solved with money.
Give me $1 billion. I'm probably not going to work a job again. So that's like one huge problem right out the window. Bills?
Yeah.
Like, what else do I have?
Right.
You know?
You would only, at that point, you wouldn't be doing a job, but you, just like me, you would still be pursuing something, some task that you found happiness in. You know what I mean? Something that, yeah, I would probably try to do school. I might go to school for like acting or production or something like that.
The thing about me in school, this is gonna sound really cocky. I just like learning stuff, man. I just want to take classes, courses,
doesn't sound
different
cocky.
stuff.
Yeah.
Just want to learn things. Like if I had unlimited funds, and you told me like, well, $1 billion to me is like unlimited funds.
Yeah, for sure.
Even $1 million,
without a doubt.
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, because we're not going to buy yachts and stuff like that.
No, absolutely. I mean, I would definitely get a financial advisor because I'm not
immediately
a smart person, but I know
it's the first thing I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that one kid who won, he's like, he didn't claim the ticket immediately. People were like, why didn't you do it? He's like, because I got to have a financial advisor, and we just chilled because, the money doesn't come right away. It takes like 6 weeks for you to like start receiving funds or whatever once you get everything established and get all the legalities out of the way.
Yeah.
So like you're not even getting the money right away if you do win the lottery. And it depends on how you get paid out, which I still say don't do a lump sum and pay it out because
I do the lump sum.
This is why I would do the payout is because you're getting a lot of money every month already. Like that amount of money you couldn't spend. Well, you could, but it'd be foolishly hard.
Yeah.
And it'd be a great way to help you, in my opinion, prevent yourself from eventually doing something stupid like spending way too much money at once. Like going and doing a blowout of like, I did buy a yacht. Actually, I bought a country while I was at it.
Yeah. See, what I would do is the reason I would take the lump sum, first of all, like I said, I would get a financial advisor immediately. But I would take the lump sum because then I can start making that money make money for me.
But okay, but I also say if you're getting that money paid out, and what it is going to be a large amount. Like we're saying, like I'm assuming like $500,000 or $250,000 a month.
It's going to be a lot per month.
Yeah,
but so you can't have that money make you money till you have it.
But it can be invested in different things every month. Like it's like getting.
True.
It's like you're still working and earning a paycheck essentially. So you're not going to spend it as quickly on things. You're going to invest slowlier. You're not gonna spend as much money as quick. So even if you're gonna put money in the stock market, you're still only gonna put like $10,000 or $15,000 on something in the stock you're gonna buy. So I still feel like that way it's gonna prevent you from like going balls deep and going way too hard into something, and then all of a sudden being like, well, that was a bad investment, and now I'm broke.
But to me, that's what your financial advisor is for.
True. I mean, your financial advisor probably tell you which one to take. He'd probably like, take the lump sum or take this version. He'd probably I mean, they're obviously know what they're doing.
Yeah, I would. But that financial advisor, that's the only time I would ignore him. I'd go lump sum because I want all that money to start making me and my family money immediately.
I would agree, but I would like to take it in the monthly payout just because.
I get the argument.
The biggest thing I'm going to buy right off the bat, and I'm going to be real, is land. Like the land is the best investment ever because land is your asset. Land, you can build a house,
and it's finite.
Land can have resources.
Right.
People can lease your land. Like talk about the fracking and people making money off of their land being leased, so they can go ahead and frack on it.
And there's not going to be more land. If anything, there's just going to keep being less land.
So land is super important to buy up. So I'll just buy up land. That's the biggest thing I would do.
Yeah.
The biggest
property in general.
Yeah, I would definitely want to buy a property. And the other thing I would do is probably try to buy up a lot of student vote because I want to fix it up.
I don't think you would have to bribe anybody. You just be like, listen,
No, not
I have
bribe,
this
I
money.
said buy.
Oh, buy.
Buy.
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
that
my-
type of guy. I'm not good at lying. When I lie, it's very obvious. So people are like, "Are you lying?" Like, yes, I'm lying.
Yes, I'm
bad-
lying. I'm sorry.
I'm a bad liar. So let's just be real about it. I couldn't lie to them and try to get anything, but no, buy it up because there's opportunity everywhere. It just unfortunately, it has to have a certain look, and I think if it looks good, people will go.
Oh, yeah.
Like you buy up the houses, you clean them up. You get them real nice and you rent them back out. All of a sudden, people are like, well, let's go live here. It looks really nice. It's a nice neighborhood.
Yeah. It's just tough because you got to then, again, rely on people because, like, you see those horror stories of people renting to people and they didn't keep close enough tabs on them and they just fucking destroy the property.
I hate to bring it back to Sumo because that does, diminish who can actually listen to it. But, with Franciscan growing and all kinds of college students, there's opportunity for people that probably may not destroy the houses because, they're Catholic kids. And
Yeah.
from what I understand, they're somewhat heavily disciplined.
Yeah, right. No, for sure. Even their partiers, they seem like they're better partiers than other colleges.
Perhaps. I don't know. I haven't been in college forever, so I wouldn't know. But I feel like anybody who parties really hard, like, we're drinking since noon till the next day at noon.
Yeah.
There's no way to make that a clean party. That is a mess, and it will be a mess.
Yeah, for
and there
sure.
will be destruction everywhere. Things will be broken. People will be sleeping places. Vomit will be places you never would have expected. Don't expect to find your coat.
Did you say your coat?
Yes.
Yeah, somebody took your coat.
Well, speaking of that bachelor party we went to, my favorite sweater is gone forever. I will never get that
Really?
back. Yeah.
Did you even really look for it hard, or did you just leave without thinking about it?
I definitely didn't think about it, but I am certain through the chaos it was gone somewhere. I was in someone's car. We were drunk. I was drunk constantly. Like, I was running away from shots at one point. I was like, we're doing shots. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm out of here. I'm leaving. Like, nowhere to go.
It was a good time, though.
Oh, the most fun I've had. And I'm not a drinker. And shit, I was drunk for 3 days straight.
Yeah,
I was just drunk.
We drank heavy, but it was funny because at the same time when we did party hard, it was different than any other bachelor party because we literally just had we have a very large group of guy friends, and we just had that large group of guy friends. There were no strippers, there was no crazy like party games, nothing like that. We just got together, got really drunk, and had a great time together. We had probably how many guys there?
Like 12, I think 12 or 15.
Yeah, I'd say at least 15, and all guys, all drinking very heavily, not one fight.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean,
that's kind of crazy for 3 days being that drunk and nobody got in a fight.
True, but I mean, we're all old. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying we're old in that sense, but everybody's got a job. Everybody understands they got responsibilities, and everybody gets like, we're mature enough to realize that, is it even worth it?
No, yeah.
Like, we might have probably been pissed. I'm sure people were pissed. People get pissed all the time about friends.
Yeah.
Like, we
I don't remember getting angry at all that whole time.
No, it was a lot of fun. It was pretty radical.
Yeah.
It was hard to get mad. I'm telling you, I was so drunk. I was too drunk to be mad. There's no way I was getting mad. I was so drunk. I was like, I'm too drunk for any of this.
Oh man, it was a really good time. We talked about doing that, every so often. It didn't really come to fruition, but I wish we would.
I
Yeah.
just didn't get to go because I was working. But
Yeah, same. I didn't get to go either. But
Absolutely.
I'm glad that people did. I actually paid my portion, and I told them whether I get to go or not, just use the money for something else because I want to support it being a thing.
They probably had way too many booze. 'Cause remember last time they were like, we got to drink all the booze. We're making mandatory shots every hour.
Oh, my God. It
That was
so
awful.
crazy.
I was just like,
Yeah.
what? The hour came. People dragged me at one point because I was trying to run away. I was just like,
Yeah, shot every hour. That's too much.
dude. Oh.
And drinking beer on the in-between time.
Oh my goodness, man! I'll tell you what.
People were sleeping. I mean, I slept literally like up against the wall in like that card room on the floor because there was, even though there was places to sleep everywhere, people just fell asleep where they fell asleep.
I wanted to sleep in a bed, but I don't think I had any comfortable night's sleep because I just was in perpetual. Like I said, I was just perpetually drunk. I felt like I was drunk. I woke up. I'm like, I'm just the same as I want the bed. All right, and you're like, here's a drink. I'm like, all right, I guess this is how we'll start the day.
Our one friend pretty much poured like a $120 bottle of scotch just into the hot tub.
Yeah, there were some reckless times. That hot tub also eventually had no water in it because Brian thought he was a whale.
Right, he's just splashing around everywhere.
Pretty good times. Absolutely great times.
Oh man, we got an eclectic group of friends, that's for sure.
Absolutely. That's like the nice way of putting that they're really weird.
Well, I'll tell you, it's one reason why I thought I would be, no matter what, I would have good podcast episodes, just because my group of friends, we can come on here and talk about whatever.
Oh, absolutely. There are some wild stories and some good people to tell those stories.
Mm-hmm. Like your 21st birthday?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's just leave him on his porch and ring the doorbell. His parents will get him.
In the middle of winter.
It's December 15th, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
I threw up and the vomit froze.
Yeah,
That's how cold it was.
It was freezing, and somebody said because they got Glenn way too drunk. I tried to warn him, don't
11
keep taking these shots
in like 11 minutes.
Yeah,
I should have died.
we got to see you go through like your transformation of sober to drunk, like all the different modes very quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't that enjoyable for you.
I mean, it wasn't to the point where it wasn't.
Yeah, which was like a half hour later.
Right, absolutely. I passed out in my car, threw up everywhere. It froze to the car.
Yeah,
I had to clean that out with hot water the next
bad.
day. It smelled awful.
So one of our friends, we said like, man, what are we gonna do with Glenn? And one of our friends was like, just take him home on his parents' porch, put him on his parents' porch, and ring the doorbell and run. I was like, what? No. It's December. It's freezing outside.
Right.
You're out of your mind.
And he's also the person that got me to drink 11 shots in 11 minutes.
True.
So let's just let that guy was the antagonist of this story.
Yeah.
Good friend, no matter what. Good guy.
Oh no, yeah, we love him.
But
Sometimes he's got some really shitty ideas.
Right, that is not a good idea. I didn't mean to ruin everybody else's party time, but I mean, we gotta all respect the fact that I don't drink.
Oh yeah, not at all. Yeah.
So you can't kill me like that.
Right. But I ended up taking you home with me and had to take care of you for a little while.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I was drunk.
Yeah, I think you slept on the floor for a little while and then eventually made it
Probably.
to a bed.
I remember one time I was just begging not to die because I thought I was going to die. I think there was a moment where I thought I was definitely
I forgot about that.
Ending moments.
I forgot about that. You just kept saying, Dave, don't let me die. Don't let me die, Dave.
I was I was so drunk, man. It was at that point where like you could see, but you had no idea where you were at.
Yeah.
Just rough times, man. And what's crazy is like even when I get that drunk, I don't black out. I remember pretty much most of everything that happened.
Yeah.
But I only remember it from the point of view of being extremely inebriated.
Yeah, and let it be a lesson to everybody out there. Drink and have a fun time, but don't drink to that point because then you're not having fun.
No, absolutely.
You end up on the floor saying, Dave, don't let me die. Don't let me die, Dave.
And you get cotton mouth like a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. Alcohol will dry you out real quick.
Right. Awful.
Oh, man.
And then you don't like that liquor anymore because I don't like vodka at all.
Yeah, done with vodka altogether, huh?
I mean, I will say like some Tito's and lemonade on the golf course. That's some good stuff right there. Can't deny that. But lemonade is a magical thing. It just makes alcohol not exist in your drink no matter how much you put in there. So be careful with lemonade.
Yeah. I'm pretty much going to drinking stuff pretty much straight on the rocks, especially bourbon. One, when I do have, a couple too many, I really don't end up with a hangover. And two, it slows me down. Like if I'm drinking beer, I will just drink and drink and drink. But bourbon, because it's, anything straight, it has a little bit of a bite to it when you're drinking it like that. So I don't go as crazy.
I hear you. Absolutely. I mean, I never drank anything fast, so like I want to enjoy my drink. So I don't mind mixing some drinks up with different things. I mean, like I'm drinking on the rocks now. I don't mind doing that, but you'll never catch me drinking anything really that fast. It's just even beer. The only thing I like about beer is if I know there's going to be drinking for an extended period of time, I'll drink beer because at least with beer, I can make it a bit longer.
Oh yeah,
I can stay
yeah.
conscious and be a part of the group and be like, hey, I'm here, I'm having a great time, and
right.
I can drink this beer with you guys,
right?
And just be able to hang out with the group. But not that to say that we're like some crazy drinking group or anything like that.
We aren't. There's probably times I go through phases where I drink too much. But
yeah.
As a whole, no, the group doesn't really drink heavily.
We don't get inebriated to the point where we're just sitting there slurring our words and can't walk around. We all just drink and have a good time, and everybody just calls it when they call it.
Well, and I don't even like getting to the point where you're like slurring and everything else. Again, I don't. If I'm not in control, I'm not having fun.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's kind of the reason I don't like drinking because I feel like you could start doing things where you're like, might regret this the next day.
Yeah.
You don't want to. You don't want to be filled with regrets trying to have a good time. I think that really kills the whole point. Right. Like I want to drink, have a great time, and then when I wake up the next day, regret the entire night. Like,
right.
Awesome.
Like I had 3 hours of fun, and now I've got 3 weeks of regret.
Right. Like not really feeling that. And you can have your drinks and have a good time, and you can get pretty drunk and still have a good time. You got to be careful and be around the right people, and just respect yourself and respect the booze.
For sure.
Because,
And also, if there's even a question on whether or not you can drive or not, don't drive. Take a page from me, walk or hitchhike.
Right. I mean, don't drive. Like, if you got good friends and wherever you were going, you probably got a place to stay. If you didn't really have a place to stay, you probably shouldn't have even thought about drinking in the first place.
I'm actually just so bad at that, though. I'm bad at staying at other people's places. I don't know why. I'm horrible at it. But I will walk, or like this last time from Brian's house, I had too many, knew I couldn't drive, so I started walking, and then I decided, you know what, social experiment, and I put my thumb out there and got picked up by a guy and had a nice conversation with him, helped him take his recycling real quick. And then,
his recycling. Right.
Yeah, it was cardboard.
Yeah, sure, cardboard.
Yeah, and then...
some wood, too?
Nope, just cardboard.
You sure it wasn't any wood?
Nope, no wood. Just
sure
cardboard.
There'd be some wood.
and then I thought that went so well, I didn't even have him take me all the way home. I had him drop me off at McDonald's so that I could see if I could get another person.
So you're a creep.
I'm a weirdo, without a doubt.
Sounds like it. Yeah. Giving favors out to these drivers, eh? That's what you want another one. You're like, well, I tried out this guy. I don't try out someone else.
I bought him a drink at Manfred's when I was bartending. I said, hey, man, I bartend at Manfred's. If you ever want to come in and have a drink on me, appreciate the ride.
Nice. Yeah, the ride.
You're terrible.
I mean, I'm not the one going out here. You know, you don't just get rides for free, Dave.
Yeah. Listen, I showed a little leg. Somebody picked me up.
Yeah, you showed a little leg of something else. No, I was kidding. Absolutely no.
I actually didn't expect anybody to pick me up.
No, absolutely not. Like, if I see someone's thumb, I'm not going to lie. Me personally, I'm like, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely going to pass you up right away.
I think the only reason he picked me up is because he wasn't from this area. He's actually from Nebraska.
Oh.
So I think, that he just might have a better view of people than we do here in Steubenville,
Maybe.
Ohio.
I think sometimes you just don't think people are also up to no good because maybe he's come from a nice place in Nebraska where everybody's nice and they're in the farmland area. Like, I went to school in Kentucky. I swear everybody waved at you on the back roads. You just got waved at. Like, they knew you. It didn't matter who you saw. I knew no one. I'm from Ohio. And they're just like, oh, see this guy in the minivan. I'm going to wave at him.
Yeah. Hey,
so,
how you doing?
Got waved at by everybody in Kentucky on the back road. So I'd say you could be that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I would even say if you're a super attractive woman because I'm a dude, I would still be like, don't care if your thumbs up. I don't trust you. You're probably a killer too.
Well, honestly, if a super attractive woman couldn't find a ride in the first place, there's got to be something going on.
Right.
Oh, man, I just stole your list to see what's going on here.
I just kind of jotted some things down, nothing too
I'm
crazy.
very curious what you have to say about education.
Well, like video games have like a big aspect in that. Like there's a realm and a possibility, I think, for it. Like just talking about Battlefield 1, it is a shooter and it had some cool stuff about it, but it had a ton of information inside that game that was kind of educational if you think about it. Like,
so this was education in relation to video games.
Yeah, in that sense. Like, well, I could talk about education at any level. That,
right.
Why are we cutting education ever on the budget ever?
Yeah,
anytime.
It seems
why
silly.
are we can go back to the cliche of, you can give a man a fish or you can teach a man a fish. Obviously, teaching someone the fish is better. If we teach anybody anywhere we go in the world how to maintain whatever thing we're giving them, we won't need to maintain. It's a money scheme, anyways.
Well, and I say they gotta like rearrange some of their priorities when educating people too. Like, I really wish I would have had some financial classes even in high school.
Now, let me get into this because this is a big, this makes me a little bit sour when people say stuff like this. People like to say, like, I should have got this class or I should have had this class or why didn't they teach me this in school? And that's a bunch of BS. And here's why. What school was supposed to teach you is how to teach yourself. It gave you core classes that are standard, that are kind of generalized among, that kind of basis for any education. What they're trying to teach you how to do, and this is just my opinion, so I'm not trying to knock you.
Yeah.
It's trying to teach you how to find information, how to go to your library, what is credible and what is not credible resources. It helps you define quality sources. It didn't give you all the answers. It wasn't going to have every course. It gave you the tools to teach yourself.
I'm not saying that they should give you an elaborate financial class, but I think they could have like gone over like the basics.
Well, they did. It was called math.
Yeah, I understand addition and subtraction.
Yeah, but they had statistics and everything else. I'm just saying, just because.
But I'm saying understanding the basic idea of investing money,
that's what books are for.
Not going to the core. Yeah, but you can say that about everything in education.
True,
then
exactly. I'm sorry, that's my point about education.
Well, then we should just get rid of schools.
Let's go back how school started. School started by somebody studied something, wrote it down, and then taught it to other people.
Right.
That's kind of the basis of school. we can still do that. Schools kind of made a monopoly. Like, look at what colleges have done to people. What is the difference between me going to college but getting the
But
same...
I'm not even talking about college. I'm just talking about basic, like high school.
What would be the difference between you going to a college course but getting the same books and teaching yourself that same exact course? What would differ between someone paying money to get a degree and you getting that same education though you don't have a degree? There is no difference. That's my point. At school, in its basis, is to teach you how to educate yourself. It's going to teach you basic math, basic writing, basic reading, basic history, basic science. It's up to you to gather the rest.
But that's not true. They go so much further, even high school. You go into calculus, you go into geometry, you go into all these different things.
Yes, you do go into those more, but those are usually AP classes that people are testing into, not the standard general population are going to get into. The general population is going to get the algebra, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
But even algebra is more than basic math.
Algebra is not basic math. Algebra you've been learning since first grade. When you had 1 plus a box equals 2, what was in the box? 1. You're solving for x. It was a big box. Algebra's been around since you learned algebra when you first learned math. When you were learning addition and subtraction, you just never called it algebra. Algebra just got more complex because then you solved for more variables and you had different things like exponentials and logarithms and all this extra stuff that adds to the simplicity of just addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. But
part of what I'm saying is within the realm of finance is I never really understood investing because literally nobody around me had ever talked about investing. So it wasn't until it was much later in life that I started really thinking about investing because nobody ever talked about it. So how do I know to educate myself on something if it's never brought up?
I mean, I get your argument there, but I mean,
because if I would have known, I would have been putting money into IRAs since I was 15 and a half and first started working, and I'd probably be retired by now.
But there are some people that have, and they were never taught those same courses either.
Yeah. But they had people around them probably that had introduced them to the idea of investing.
Possible. But all I'm saying is...
That's how the rich stay rich.
But you're expecting the answers to come to you, and I think that's the biggest problem with society today. You have to seek the answers. You can't expect them to come to you. You can't... If you had any interest in anything, you just have to start looking it up.
But again, I'm not saying I need somebody to just give me all the answers. What I am saying, I can go and find the answers myself. But what I am saying is, without knowing that there's even a question, then I don't know how to find the answer because I don't even know there's a question.
But you learned about investing in math because investing was part of math because it was part of percentages and it was a part about like when they break down.
That gives you percentages and stuff, but it's not telling you about
what
investing
I'm saying is,
monetary value. Like
you knew investing was a thing. It's not like you didn't know investing existed. It's just as much as you know that Kelvin is a form of science that exists that scientists use when they do certain temperature testing. It has no value to you and will never value you at this moment.
Yeah.
But you knew it existed and school taught you that. So what I'm saying is you knew about investments because you knew they exist. It would be almost crazy to say that people don't know that investing exists.
I did not know about investing. I thought you worked for your money, you bought what you had, and then hopefully you saved a bunch of money while you were working, and then that's how you retired.
Okay, but you could have looked up into, okay, how do I better looking into that? I just don't see that as a viable excuse to say that there should have been a class for that or for taxes or for anything like that because all they're trying to teach you how to do is the basics. The rest is up to you. That's why they have immense resources like libraries before there was computers and the internet to have all that stuff for you. I mean, that's why you took a class in research. I mean, I took my literature class. It was a regular class that other students took at a public school, and one of the things we did is we picked a subject, and then we made a thesis, and then we researched that thesis, so we understood what good research was. We could pick any subject in the goddamn world to do. Didn't have to be about books or science or math or anything.
I think it is silly to not have a one-time basic course on maybe the most important thing that will affect your life.
I mean, I'm not denying there couldn't be a course for it, but when you're talking about education where they're strangled for money, they don't have a lot. I don't think there's any room for that when there's more important things to talk about. That's something you can do on your own.
But what would be more important than your financial future?
I mean, your financial future is super important, but that's where math comes in. They teach you math. They teach you the basis of how to do math. They teach you budgeting in math. That's part of your financial future. The rest is still on you.
But in math, they never showed me how to budget things. I mean, they showed me how to subtract things. Like, here's a big number. Now you subtract things from it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
They didn't say, hey, this is how a budget works.
But you had to, because there was definitely word problems and different things where I had budgeting problems and issues. So
No, mine was always like, hey, a train leaves the station at 4 o'clock, traveling 72 miles an hour.
That's like calculus, man. That's like calculus. That's like high level stuff when you start getting into that stuff.
But that
physics and stuff.
But that's the only kind of word math problems that I was ever introduced to.
I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna agree to disagree on this, but no, I definitely think that when it comes to education, people ask too much. They're teaching you how to find the answers. You have to go look for them.
Right.
Quit asking for them to have a course on something. That's what colleges are for. When it comes to primary education and education through K through 14 or K through 12, sorry, 14. That sounded weird. K through 12. It only needs to teach the basics. It needs to teach you how to find information. It needs to teach you to be able to critically analyze information and ask the who, what, when, where, and why. Who benefits from the information? Where does information come from? Is information biased in any way? That's what they need to teach you, because when you can do that, you can educate yourself on anything.
Yeah. And I do completely get that. But like I had an architecture class in high school. We can't
Drafting?
Yeah, drafting. We can't cut drafting for finance.
Well,
Which one is going to affect my life
to
more?
take drafting, and I was in the scholars, if you would, where I took all the AP classes because I tested into that, and I never got to take that class, but I got to take choir. But what does choir value to me either?
Yeah,
and I agree with you on that, but I still just want to say those electives are there because it gives you freedom, a little bit of freedom in high school to have something special. You get to do extra. But when it comes to the core classes, like you could have still asked. I know, because I asked some dumb questions in math class. You could have asked about investment, and I guarantee that at least the teachers I had at my public school, which some people think is a bad public school, they would have definitely taken the time out of their day to teach you about investing.
Yeah.
They would have definitely set aside a whole day and a whole course in 45 minutes and broke down investing if you asked. Because, I mean, I had one of my teachers, Mr. Bianchi, break down stock market completely.
Right.
And he was a history teacher.
Yeah.
A history teacher who broke down stock market. That's completely invaluable to a kid, but I learned a lot about stock market I would have never known, and no one really asked for it. So I get what you're saying. It doesn't have to be a whole course. I think it's also about teachers being inspired to want to teach things. The teachers I had that made me love teaching, and I actually went to school to be a teacher, was because of them not always following the curriculum and in knowing that they're
doing
teaching
more.
They know that they're teaching people.
Yeah.
People that are going to become voters and politicians and CEOs and doctors and lawyers and janitors and just whatever else. They're going to be the next generation of change in the world.
Right.
So they talked more about science and math and history, and they talked more about life things. I think if you held teachers to the same level as you held a doctor or a lawyer, you'd have some of the best education you've seen in the world. But when you pay teachers the salary that a manager at McDonald's would make.
That's what I was gonna say. It's hard to hold them to the same standards when they're not getting paid.
And then you demand so much of them.
So
when I was
much.
in the school in college, I had a course. So on Wednesdays I had to teach a class. And I also want to say schools are really good at tricking you. I wanted to only teach high school and above. Biggest reason I wanted to do that because I wanted to get kind of beyond the discipline part. I didn't want to spend half of my day trying to keep you riled, kids under control.
Right.
One reason was I wanted to basically focus on your future. Your future's really big. These 4 years are the 4 years in your step and going that. I'm not saying kids wouldn't be undisciplined in high school, but I wanted to kind of get beyond that. You had a bit of maturity and you could listen to, and you could take value in the words I said, or at least I would hope.
Yeah.
I ended up teaching 6th grade kids. I ended up getting stuck doing that.
Was that a nightmare for you?
Not at all. I'm still excited to be a teacher. I could teach any kid. I love teaching. I love talking about stuff that I know about, and I love learning. And so it was still a very fun time. But I was upset that the school tricked me and basically saying, well, you can teach up to 9th grade, which is high school. Yeah, well, that's my limit. Like I get certified up to 9th grade, but that's another story, another day.
Yeah.
Schools will trick you sometimes when you go to get a degree. So be careful when you look into schools and what their program is. Do your research.
Right.
With that being said,
make sure they have a program that fits your
actually
needs.
fits what you want.
Yeah.
So I was in the school teaching, and kids just don't listen in the 6th grade. All right. You have a set of kids that are still kids. It's cool to be smart. It's cool to learn.
Yeah.
They want to be there. There's a bunch of kids that are also going through puberty, and it's cool to be uncool or not uncool. It's cool to be different. It's cool to be a rebellion.
Yeah.
It's cool to be against the system.
Right.
So you got a lot of that going on. You
like
got a lot of
like the cool kids in the old like high school movies that just didn't do anything they were supposed to do.
I also taught 8th grade. So you also got girls acting foolish. They're also acting like a fool. I mean, I had a girl ask me for an answer help on a question, and I came up with the help there. Now I'm only 19 at this time because luckily through college I got to through high school I was basically a sophomore going into college, so I was well ahead. So I got to test into the teaching program early, so I got into that early. So I was real young. I was 19 years old, and that girl started asking me about a ring that I was wearing on my finger, which was my class ring, which I realized immediately I got to stop wearing stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was immediately sign don't wear extra stuff.
Right.
And I kind of got offended. I was like, do you have a question about the math? And I realized right away, this is what you have to deal with as a teacher. These are all the extra stuff you have to deal with as being a teacher. This is way harder. But when I went to get graded on how I participated in these classes, I got a C. I had straight A's in college. Not that I'm super smart. It was the first time ever I got it, but it really pissed me off because I'm like, there's no way to control these things. These are exterior things. There's kids that don't listen because their home life's terrible. They're not getting enough food. They're getting abused. They're not being taken care of. There's so much more. Or their parents are just worked to death because they can barely afford. Yeah. And you're going to grade me on how these kids participate. I couldn't get them to go from one subject to the next. And also, I'm not experienced yet. And the history teacher that I was working with even told me this, you're going to get eaten alive because he knows how to deal with these sixth graders. Right. I don't yet. He knows the psychology of how to get them to keep their attention right. And he was right. I got eaten alive, and my report showed it. And I was really offended by that because you stuck me in a situation like that. There's not a good budget for this. There's not good education for this. I'm not taking top-end psychology classes to better understand these kids and better help them. You have this utopian idea of positive discipline, which I know if anyone taken some type of education, they know about these books, positive discipline, they don't only work with adults that are super mature and calm. You couldn't even do that with adults. That system wouldn't even work with actual adults. And you're trying to enact it on kids, and it just doesn't work. And
there has to be negatives sometimes in order for there to be positives.
You have this harsh, I guess what I was getting at is you have this harsh system of grading on these teachers, but you're paying them $30,000 a year, and you're not taking into account that there's so much more than being a teacher than teaching the subject you're actually learning to teach.
Oh, yeah.
You're dealing with individuals becoming adults, human beings.
You're molding people.
Yes.
You're part of their molding process.
And you're trying to create individuals that think for themselves and critically analyze information and study stuff and actually want to get good, honest facts and not just be some dope or some sheep that just listens to anything, and also have their needs taken care of where they feel safe around humans, especially if they're being abused or not getting enough food or things of that nature that happen, unfortunately, in a country like America where it shouldn't. It's just a lot.
And it happens a lot. I mean, look at all the inner city schools. To me, being a teacher today is just crazy because, I mean, you see all these videos now of students actually trying to fist fight their teacher. What do you do in that scenario? And then if you protect yourself, and don't get me wrong, you shouldn't hit kids, but then, especially ones that aren't yours, but if you do retaliate to protect yourself, then you're under a microscope.
Right,
but
I agree.
This kid just threw a chair at me.
But if you had teachers that are better educated and had better conflict resolution skills, and you taught them better ways to handle these situations, you probably would never get to that situation.
That's true.
But you also have to pay them that wage to make them go to school for 8 years. If you're going to make a teacher go to school for 8 years, they need to make $70,000 to $100,000 to $150,000, and I think they should be paid like a doctor. I really do, 100%, because they're the most important people, like a doctor. You're only going to make next great doctors from education, from these students. They're not going to be always great doctors if there isn't great education, a great foundation where they start from. It doesn't just come from learning math, reading, and science. It comes from nurturing their emotional state,
And the biggest influencers on your life while you're growing up and becoming the person you're going to be are your parents and your teachers.
Well, even more than that, it's going to be your friends and your brothers and sisters too, because I learned a lot.
Family
my parents
and teachers
would have never taught me, definitely, from my friends and kids at school. I learned all my curse words at school from kids, all the bad stuff. So, but I think that's important. You need to have a kid stuck in shitty situations where a lot of negative things are around them, because they need to be able to have.
They need to have conflict resolution.
Yeah, and not only that, it's like my parents wanted me to learn to drive. I can't learn to drive if you don't let me drive. How am I supposed to learn how to drive if I'm going to drive? So we're not really going to have you drive because you can't drive yet. Well, I got to practice driving, right? Yeah. You have to put kids in a situation where they have to question their own morals and start questioning their own, and have to stand up for what they believe in and start being the individual they are. Right. And that's where the critical thinking skills come in and all that. And that's super important. So again, I still think, though, my original argument, schools that will give you the basis, you must take those skills of education, of learning, of critical thinking, and apply that things you want to know. Go and seek that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think there could be more courses. I think schools should have 1 million more courses. Why is the budget cut every new president comes in, and every year, what do they cut on that budget? Education. Why? It's the most important thing.
It's crazy. It really is.
I mean, I think the arts are just important. I think we should be teaching kids as much classical music as much as modern music. We should be studying rap, and we should be studying the classic. We should be studying everything. We should be studying poetry. We should be studying all aspects that can be studied. It should be studied. There should be studying of memes. There should be studying of podcasts, streaming, media, politicalness.
And you do get all those classes more like college than you do.
Right.
Yeah.
Or in a very expensive private school that only the rich go to, and then they become politicians.
I'll tell you what I don't like. Now, like all the public schools around here, they all have uniforms.
I don't think there's a problem with that because as a kid as a uniform, I loved it. And this is why I never had to think about what I wore. I just put it on. And I went to school, and then I took it off and wore my comfortable clothes.
Yeah, but
just kind of like what I do now. You do it when you go to work. You go to work, you put on your work clothes, you wear your work clothes. It's your uniform, and it's going to be what your rest of your life's going to be like, so why not? And uniformity just does create a sense of teamwork. It does, whether you like it or not.
I guess I can agree with that because now I hate having a work uniform. No, I hate having a work uniform. Maybe because I never had to wear a uniform when I was younger.
Maybe, yeah, I see your point.
So, like, I want to wear what I want to fucking wear.
I like not having a choice because, I mean, I like choice. Don't get me wrong. I'm a very individual person. But, like, when it comes to work, work's already a chore, right? Everybody thinks work's a chore. You have to get up. You have to do all this stuff. You don't really want to do it. No one wakes up for work and goes, yes, work.
Yeah,
This
so
is what
excited.
I dream about. Unless you're doing your passion, then maybe.
Right.
But a
like
lot
if
of
this
us
ever makes me money, then I'll be happy.
A lot of us working in cubicle farms are not waking up going, this is my passion. You're not. So it's a chore. So to make that chore less of a drag, routines are nice. And I think having a uniform, like me personally, I mean, I'm going to sound really OCD here. I have everything pre-prepared before I go to work that day. Like at that night, my clothes are all laid out, everything, towel ready to go for the shower, like all my toiletry set up, my coffee set up so when I wake up I can quickly make it. My lunch is pre-prepared so I can just go ahead and quickly pack up the remains and walk out the door. I got my computer in my bag. Like I'm so ready. It's so
I wish I was more like that, actually.
I can 1, 2, 3. I don't have to think about it, so I can kind of be in a daze. Or if I want that extra 5 minutes, I can take that extra 5 minutes. So like that little night preparation makes a huge difference to me. And I think when you have to go through something so droll as work, having a little bit of routine where you don't have to think because, you know, you're still trying to enjoy the moments that you're not at work. At least for me in that morning, I'm still trying to just enjoy that I'm not at work yet and just having that time to myself.
I actually do wish I was better at that. I'm usually like running around like a crazy person in the morning. I
can't do that. I hate when I have to do that. Now, don't get me wrong. It is a chore to get ready each night. Like some nights I definitely want to be like, I don't want to fucking do all this. I don't want to do it. I just want to sit here and be lazy and watch TV or play video games.
But in the grand scheme of things, it actually makes your life a lot easier.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think discipline is a big loss in things. I think a lot of people will look for motivation, but motivation is 1%. Discipline's the rest. Like I make my bed every day. Yes, my bed's going to get mess every day, but guess what I do? Which is weird, I think, to a lot of people, but I make it.
Yeah.
I make my bed.
Yeah.
My room's neat as possible because
your room is maybe the neatest room I've ever been in.
You got to do it that way. It's super important. It makes things easier in your life.
Yeah, it really does.
It just does. I think it does because when you know where things are, and I'm not saying you have to be OCD about it. Like I let dust film build up on things. I don't always clean everything. Things sit places. I throw mail in a corner, and sometimes I pile up clothes on a shelf or a dresser. That happens. That's normal life. There's nothing wrong with that. But
I pile up mail in my mailbox and just let it sit in there.
That's probably not the place you should pile it up. I'm going to take all your mail, and now I'm going to know your identity and know everything about you. Good luck, Dave.
Oh, man. Damn it.
All this money making from podcasts, mine now. I'll be monetizing all that.
I wish I was making money from this podcast.
But no, absolutely. So I think there's nothing wrong with being lazy at times. I think lazy will save you money. We were actually talking about this earlier when we were getting Burger King. I was saying like being lazy on the weekends has saved me tons of money. If I don't go out and I don't spend money and I just cook in the house and I just be lazy and just buy cheap stuff at the store, I've actually saved a lot of money. Like I'm surprised at the amount I'm saving, and I'm talking about for a guy who like kind of used to live paycheck to paycheck. I'm saving thousands of dollars, and I am a non-degreed worker who is entry level. So just put that in the consideration.
I've been trying to get better about just coming home because I'm bad at that. I'm such a social person that I want to constantly be surrounded by people.
I think that's fine. Just go to a place that money doesn't have to be spent.
Yeah, that's tough to do.
Because, yes,
I just start showing up at my friends' houses. Hey,
hey, we used to do that all the time. I used to show up at your house all the time, so I don't know. I mean, why not? I would come every day after work. I'm pretty sure I came over I go to the gym and go to your house, so like, that's how it went.
Actually, the Buena Vista house is the perfect spot for me to just go there every day after work.
Absolutely, it's perfect. Especially with schedules changing. If I get off of nights here coming up, like the daytime, that'll be real nice. Because I'll tell you what, working nights. God bless everybody who works the graveyard shift. Like,
it seems like a nightmare.
It's tough. I've done it for a year now, and my dad did it like pretty much most of his life. And I just want to know, like, how did you do that and not murder people?
Yeah.
How do you do like?
And it's funny too because you initially were like kind of all about that shift,
absolutely.
right?
I was like, I'm a night owl. I just realized I'm not a night owl. I just don't want to go to bed because I don't want the fun to end. I'm not a night owl. It's definitely I am not that at all.
Right. There's a big difference between having fun at night and working at night.
Yeah, working 10 to 12 hours at night and. You're alone, so it's like for me personally, it's me and a pharmacist, you know, working. So that's really rough because it's really boring as hell.
Yeah,
and like you're stuck with one other person, so like you got to hope to God you guys are gonna get along really well.
That you click,
right? Because if you don't, good luck with that 10 to 12 hours. You're gonna have a great time.
Right? Like fuck, I don't even want to talk to this guy.
No, it's not gonna be good. And boy, that in working nights, it made me like ask myself like a lot of questions like. Am I a fucking asshole? Because I've just like sometimes wonder about that. I'm like, God, like if this person's stuck with me and like, you know, how we get along and like in situations, it makes me wonder like, am I a dick all the time? Is that why this person doesn't want to talk to me? Because like they're stuck with me like, God, this person over here, I don't want to fucking deal with them.
Right. Yeah.
It's definitely made me question myself working at nights with one other person. It's definitely made me kind of look back and try to make sure I'm, like I said, not thinking about myself so much, and trying to think of other people.
But it's good to be self-reflective too. It really is. Like we said multiple times on this podcast, you should always be trying to become a better person.
Agreed.
And you can't do that without sometimes like asking yourself, like, hold on, am I an asshole?
Right.
Or am I doing this wrong? You know, if you want to just always assume you're doing it right and that's just all there is to it, then you got a problem.
Yes, but. Be careful of overthinking because I do that too where you just think you're the worst person in the world. Don't do that either. Like there's nothing wrong with a healthy question, but like be critical again about your thinking. Make your thinking make sense. Don't ask stupid questions of scenarios that could really barely exist.
Right.
You have a better chance of winning the lottery or getting hit by a semi-truck that fell out of the sky. Because you just also have to do that because I think sometimes people do get in the problem of thinking that their worth is very little and create scenarios that are outrageous where their worth isn't there when would that ever happen? When would that scenario ever take place? It would never happen like that, and pretty much is what I'm getting at. So definitely self-reflect, but don't overdo it.
Don't overdo it.
Don't overdo it.
You'll give yourself a complex.
Right, absolutely. You don't need anxiety on your life. Don't overthink it. You know, easier said than done. Absolutely easier said than done. You know, speaking from experience, easier said than done.
Right. Well, brother, I think we covered a lot of subjects. I think this was a really good podcast. I think we can go ahead and call it an episode. Unless you got something else you want to close with.
No, I just really like talking really close to this mic. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I think this went great. I definitely want to have you back on. I appreciate you coming on. I think I don't think you went too far off the rails. I think you kept it in.
I hope it'll be enjoyable for people who do listen. I'm sorry if every second a sentence went from another subject to another subject very quickly. I think we handled it well. I hope so. I hope you can keep up, and I hope you enjoyed the off-wallness of it all.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, this is the Gathering of Fools. We're out.